All right, I'm gonna hit the go live button. Here we go.
Will you give me permission to record?
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah, that's a
easier.
good idea, I
What are
think.
we doing? What did Marie say?
I'm
To get
so
permission to
excited.
record.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
everybody. I think we're live.
give me permission to record, Justin. I cannot believe the selfishness on your part.
I know, right?
It's not
By the way,
clicking for me yet, but
do you know how much I love you two? Do you guys know how much Colleen and I love the two of you? We do. We
I,
love the stuffings
I
out of you.
I know it, but I love hearing it too. So
We do. We're so proud of you. We love to watch your shows, and we're always checking in to see who's naughty and who's not nice.
all right.
I feel
Yeah,
you. Well,
I,
just the feeling of Colleen. You know that though. My life got so much crazier when you came into it, but so much better. Like loads better. I mean, you can't even quantify it. It's just so amazing. So much gratitude.
truly. I mean, it's like a dream come true.
Cool.
It is. It is. This whole process that we're going to talk about this today is like a dream come true. When you read the Bible for yourself and you learn it for yourself, it's a dream come true. It is. It's a dream come true because Galilee in Capernaum, the little city at the top of the crown of Galilee, which is the circuit of the skull of the mind, is Capper is to leap high, and that's what we all must do. Leap of faith is leaping high because it's a leap of faith to God, so it's a high leap. That's Capernaum, and that's how you get to the crown of the Sea of Galilee. So cool.
Love it. Well, just to say hello to all of these beautiful people in this chat. Wow. I mean, just the outpouring of love is every time it just blows me away. You guys are so amazing. I
They
love
are.
you so much.
They totally are.
Hi, Fred. It's amazing the quality. I feel like the quality of mankind. We're just getting attuned and we're definitely all stepping up. So the love feels more refined, it feels more authentic, it feels more unconditional. That's a big one too. So yeah, lots of gratitude. I'm just pulling it up. I want to see the chat too. Yeah, we're super excited to have you all here and to get into the book of Matthew today with Charlie and Justin here. Thank you for hosting us and getting this whole tech piece together. Really all stepping up. So the love feels more refined, it feels more authentic, it feels more there we go.
Okay.
Oh, there I am. Look, on two screens. But anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for having us. And should we do it? Let's talk a little bit about the Bible. I mean, the Bible for me is like, I've been going like this to the Bible for a number of years. And when Charlie and Colleen came into my reality, thank the good Lord above, there was all of this reference to the Bible. And there was so much talking about Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene and Genesis and fasting, and everything was linking back to this story that we find in the Bible that I think a lot of us have been, at least I know for myself and a lot of my community, we've been like pushing back from. So thank you for making the Bible cool. And I have just enjoyed so much reading this from a totally different perspective. And that's, I'm sure, Justin, you too. I mean, all of us kind of coming back to this. And I'm curious, Charlie, too. I remember one of the talks that you had recently, you were saying something about how you and Colleen were not necessarily like very religious or into the Bible. So I'm wondering like what sparked that and how you came back or came to this and how you just knew it so good.
So again, really quickly, I was really blessed with a fantastic mom and dad. And one of the greatest things that they did is that in looking after us, they both worked very hard. So they weren't around the home a lot, but they cared so much. But it was incredible because it left me unto myself. And I've always just been a very introspective person. So I've always had the connection to God, even when I didn't really realize that I did. And so one of the things that was really incredible, like, again, my whole life, and I'm sure everybody does, when you wake up to this, you'll see yours is too. It's not like I'm special or anything. No, it's just that I'm aware of what's going on now. I see the bigger picture. So, but in my life, everything that's happened has happened for a purpose to get me to this point. I'm supposed to be this person, and I'm supposed to be doing these things. And my whole life has been the bride grooming for me to do these things. And so when I was 12, my godparents, can't script this stuff, my godparents, Uncle Ian and Auntie Pauline, who had a small bookstore in North Vancouver, they gifted me for my birthday, July 17, 717. They gifted me the entire Lord of the Rings in hardback. So it was The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, The Silmarillion, the Tolkien biography, and it was incredible. And then the year after, they gifted me the Chronicles of Narnia. And I had my two best friends until I met Colleen and Justin and Marie and Greg and everyone else. But I found my two best friends in the whole world, which were Professor Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, and they were powerfully real because they poured their heart and soul into that work. And so, of course, you know who they are. You don't have to meet them in the flesh to know them of the mind, because their mind is on those pages. And so that was an incredible gift. And then also at the age of 12, this is crazy. My mom and dad got for me a little aluminum boat, because we lived on the ocean in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And the waters out, anyone who's from in and around that area knows that the waters in and around that area are very fast tides, and it's high wind, and it's dangerous. They're dangerous waters. But but again, mom and dad being busy and knowing that I was a 100-mile-an-hour kid, they got me this boat. And it was just a 10-foot aluminum boat with a 9.9 Merc outboard motor, and they just let me loose upon the seas, and it's the most incredible thing. It's the most incredible thing, and I spent so much time alone upon those. And a really quick story is that sort of right out of where we lived, which was Cadboro Bay, which is close to Oak Bay, and then the waterfront. So it's the waterfront, Oak Bay, Cadboro Bay, Cadova Bay, yeah. So basically out from us, there's an island that's split in two. It's called Discovery Island. And there's just this little sort of channel in between, very shallow, and that, you know, if it was low tide, you had to be very careful about even being able to make it through there with all the rocks. High tide, it wasn't a problem. But and each island's kind of shaped like the hemisphere of a brain, not kidding. And on the right island, on the right side island, there was a lighthouse. And I used to constantly go there and park the boat, and then I would just walk. I would walk those islands. And at the time, the lighthouse had become automated, so there was nobody living there. And I used to sit at the foot of the lighthouse, because it was right on this huge rock outcrop, right on the coast, right on the edge of this island. And I used to just look out into the ocean and over across to the San Juan Islands in the United States constantly. And I just can't even believe. I look back at this stuff now, and I can't even believe. So it was just constantly connecting to God, not necessarily knowing so. And then because my parents were so busy, they had no time, and they were not religious people. They believed in God. We lived in a goodly, godly home. They were great parents, and they're very beautiful souls, honest and hardworking and dedicated as the day is long. And but there was no religion at all, and it's a blessing. And so when you ask, so how did I pick up the Bible and become this guru of the Bhagavad Gita and the Bible and the Quran? And it's because I don't have any preconceived notions of somebody telling me this means this. So when I came to it, I did it because of, remember I wrote all those books about the greatest albums, 150. There's only 6 that have been published, but they're all done. They just need to be finished editing and then self-published. And when I was doing that process of writing all of those books, that's what I found. I found that Al Stewart was doing nothing but writing about God. I couldn't believe it. And then I knew that Steely Dan must be, because every band that I gravitated to were all doing this, and the bands that I didn't gravitate to, like the Rolling Stones, they were the opposite, and I didn't gravitate to those bands. And so it's the most amazing thing. So during the writing of all of those books, I realized that all of my heroes growing up, they weren't like rock stars, and that's why they looked so weird. Like, you know, Donald Fagen and Walter Becker for Steely Dan, they look like a couple of nerdy scientists or you know, math professors. They don't look like rock stars. And same with Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson from the Alan Parsons Project. They don't look like rock stars. They weren't. They were the Essenes. They are the Gnostics, and they were teaching this. And then when I started to discover this, I just could not believe it. So I dove head first into all of these books, and I could not believe it. So what I saw is a whole world out there connected in plain sight to God, and nobody writes about it, nobody talks about it. They just ignore it. They just ignore it for the bullshit lies of the out there world, but it exists. And so it's kind of like, that's been my whole life purpose, is to be this one who noticed this work and is now sharing this work, and then allowing people to connect back, because this Bible is so important. Now, it is not the be all and end all. You are the be all and end all, and it is the actions of Jesus Christ. And eventually, over time, when the Gospels that involve Mary Magdalene come in, you will see of Mary as well. You will see that this is you. This is what you must do. And nobody's asking you to become the second incarnation of Jesus Christ. You can't be. He came first, and he did the hardest work that there is to do. He made it easier for us, but we have to do this work to honor everything that he went through. And we're experiencing that as well. You absolutely will. That is talked about by Jesus and the apostles all throughout the New Testament. You will have rocks cast at you nonstop when you connect to God in this upside down world. But we have to do this work. And so I was saying this to Colleen yesterday in preparation for the show, and I'll stop my little introduction here with this. Be warned. When you know better, you have to do better. You have chosen to watch this series, and all of you who are watching this, be forewarned. When you know better, you have to do better. And what you're going to find is that Jesus Christ is the King of Kings, because he did the work unfailingly. And that's why Jesus was not the easiest guy in the world on the pages of that New Testament, and why the apostles drove him crazy, because they were different angles, right? So they're the 12 cranial nerves. Jesus became the 13th cranial nerve, the optic thalamus, the light of the world. No, absolutely is so. And he is here within us every single day, just waiting for us to illuminate him. We receive all of these gifts. So this is the incredible story and the truth. But remember, there are 12 cranial nerve for the 12 apostles, and they are all fractals. They are all angles of light. So they're angels because they're angles of light, and each is different because each has a different angle of light. Your job is to open your mind so wide open that you collect all 12 of those trading cards. Oh, I got Peter. Oh my God, and some gum. My teeth fell out. So it's 12, because each apostle Each angle of light has 30 degrees. 12 times 30, 360 degrees. You must become 360 degrees. You must awaken and open the 12. And when you finish reading the book of Revelations and you can understand the book of Revelations, you have laid the groundwork. You have walked this path and you have laid the groundwork to allow yourself to become the illuminated man, which is allowing all 360 degrees of light that God is shining upon you in. You have to go in. The light has to be within you. And to do that, you have to connect with all of the 12 apostles and all of their 30 degrees. So you have 360 angles. This is what the Bible teaches. So let me add one more thing. So I'll end my little speech with this. The Bible is the manual for the most expensive, complicated, brilliant galaxy-class starship cruiser that has ever been created. You're the captain. The Bible is the book of instructions, the manual, the startup disc, the keys. The Bible is that manual. You've been told that. I just dropped a huge truth bomb for that's your manual. The Bible is not a history book. It's not a literal history book about some dude falling into a great fish and coming out, a disciple, an apostle, a master of the teachings of Jesus Christ or of God. That's not what the Bible is. The Bible is a masterpiece of science, chemistry, biology, zoology. It's a master of alchemy, the real science, the true science. It's a master text of alchemy. It is the highest form of mathematics. It is architecture beyond description because everything is being built by the spiraling out of the golden ratio of phi, and then the inward spiral of pi, 4 versus 1,618, phi and pi, building blocks to all reality, in and out, in there, out there, as above, so below, as within, without. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Once you've read it, you have to do it, because if you just sit in your room and you read these words, those words are dead. That piece of paper is dead. God is the God of the living, not of the dead. Why does Jesus make that point so often? And the reason is it's because you have to do the work. If you just know this stuff, you're not going to heaven. You have to do the work. The Bible is action. It's a key, and the key has to be turned. So you are Captain Kirk. You are Captain Picard. You are Jean-Luc. Jesus and Lucifer. Jesus and Lucifer. Jean-Luc Picard. And you have to become the captain of a galaxy-class starship. And that's what the Bible is for. So this is serious stuff, but the gifts are eternal and magical beyond description. This is a magical journey. It's not a boring journey. You'll never once become bored of the Bible. You'll only read it more and more and more, but it will inspire you to do more and more and more. So that's my interest. Sorry for all of that, but thank you for asking, because that was fun to share.
Yeah, no apologies needed whatsoever. And you draw on a important thing to remember as we are sharing the truth with our brothers and sisters. And it really does, when we know better, we have to do better. And I see that as a very, it's a big driver for the cognitive dissonance that can sometimes creep in for people to want to reject the truth whenever they feel it coming, because at a soul level, even if they're not conscious of it, they know that as soon as they integrate that information, they have to do better. And so they're maybe for their protection, maybe they're not ready for that. But it's because when we do know better and we don't do better, it actually becomes a lot more painful. It becomes a lot more potentially devastating, and the repercussions are karmic, our karmic repercussions become a lot more severe. So yeah, I just want to echo that that forewarning in this. This is what we're here to do. This is absolutely what we came here to do, is to learn this story and to fully step into it. This is the story. So buckle up, get ready. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a wild ride. Yeah. Did you have?
That was brilliant, Justin. I agree with every single word you said. That's brilliant.
Yeah. When you know better, you do better. That's the line. And that's the function. That's what we're here for. We're here to learn and to study and to reintegrate the gnosis back into our ourselves and ourselves, so that we know what Charlie was speaking to is he knew as a child. And I think all of us hopefully know as a child. We have that internal connection to God that over time gets diluted. And I think what's happening now for so many of us is we're returning to our innocence, and we're allowing ourselves to be taught by our Creator what's right, what's wrong, what to eat, what not to eat. Beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. We're learning all of this, and so when the invitation is to really take it seriously, it's because when just in my very beginning restudying this as an adult, what I'm seeing is that you actually do have to do it. And it's not from a place of punishment, like that God punishes, but it's more from you feel the pang of not following directions because you do know. And what we're learning is to know and to trust your knowing. That's what's been so exciting for me, is to see my stories playing out here and Christ actually saying all of the things, that I haven't been doing. And for me to go, oh, wow, well, that's why that happened. And to look at my life and to see the areas where I did fall into the traps and I did make mistakes, and to correct my course now that I do know, do better, like get over yourself. Like, okay, here it is. This is what he said. Now, not like, what does it mean to me and how can I manipulate this so that it serves my past? But how can I really let this passage infuse me with wisdom? I think I said to you, Justin, that now it's like I can feel it working on my brain, like pushing things out and like reworking. So I loved the analogy of the angles and the 30 degrees. And that's what I feel the Bible is actually doing. It's like kind of clearing out some of the places where I got attached to the way things should be, or that the way that the world of man has set things up, where the Bible is asking me to let go of that, to soften my grip on that, so that it can fill in the space. And therefore I will actually do the work because it's easy. It gets easier. It's not so hard. What's hard is resisting the work. Does that make sense?
Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, you touched on an excellent note, pointing out that God's not up there to punish us. This is not a punishment whatsoever. The ways that the sort of guiding lines are set up is because, I mean, if you just consider God as infinite consciousness, our one infinite creator, and we are an infinite fragment of that one infinite creator. So all this consciousness wants to do is to expand in the best way possible. So when we're not acting in alignment to that one infinite consciousness is going to gently guide us back to that straight and narrow path, so that we can get back to that expansive ability, so we can create as beautifully and as hopefully as possible. And that can appear as painful at times, because if we're stubborn, if we're really resistant to that inner guiding, then sometimes those repercussions need to be pretty direct. Sometimes it needs to be a pop on the forehead to say, hey, pay attention. Like, this is what you wanted to do. This is what we wanted to do. Have you forgotten that? Please remember. And so that's just what I wanted to draw on. It's not punishment. It's for our benefit. Every single bit of it is for our benefit.
Beautiful. Tell us a little bit about you, Justin, and your Bible stuff and how you came to this. And is this another Charlie Freak win of the Bible's cool again?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I mean, I grew up in a very traditional Christian family. My father's a minister, and went to school all the time, or went to church all the time, and I didn't have like a huge problem with it until I mean, no negative experiences on my part, other than just it never felt right. Like nothing ever vibed with me from the church perspective. I never really wanted to go to church. I always wanted to have sleepovers at a friend's house on Saturday night, so I didn't have to go to church the next day. And but then when I was a teenager, I started to really uncover a lot of the truth of the Catholic Church and what they had done, and just all the atrocities that they've committed, and really pulled away from it. And for me, it was I pulled away from God entirely in those moments. I thought I thought the church and God were intertwined, and that the two of them were symbiotic. And so I spent my early 20s, in sort of an agnostic state, just like not necessarily rejecting God entirely, but just, I don't know what's out there. I bought into the whole evolution thing, and did that thing for a little bit. But I realized later on in my 20s that God never really left me. I had just and I didn't really have an issue with God. I just had an issue with the church. And so having that realization, um, that the church and the God were actually, church and God are actually two opposite antithesis. They're two opposite ends of the spectrum. I was able to reunite with the Father and with God, and really step back into that. So yeah, so with the Bible specifically, I'm familiar with the majority of the stories that are told within it, just from Sunday school and learning it as a kid. But I haven't gone back through and really read the Bible from cover to cover since then. So I'm really excited to do this, and to get to learn with y'all. Like it has lit a fire in me that I cannot explain, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I can feel it, and I can sense that from you. It's sweet. Like I too had a church upbringing, and it's like I remember learning the stories in church school and hearing the priest. And we come from a very ritualistic church, so there's like a lot of singing and raising the Bible and crossing yourself, and lots of incense and icons and colors and chanting. And so there are things that I still resonate from that. But what I wanted to say was just remembering as a child, like things aren't making sense though. And I knew that I was connected to something, and I loved to go to church because I loved the quiet of it that I could tap. But I remember, now that I have children, and we baptized our kids, and I tried to like do it right. Like I really sincerely wanted to like fit into the community. And so we really tried. But I remember it was right around Lent, and I took my daughter, and she was probably 3, into the church school room. And the teacher is someone that I grew up with. They went to like all the teen groups and everything. And she was teaching the kids something that really upset me. It was like something like, I'm here to repent and I'm a sinner. And it was like this little song, like a sung to like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, that melody, but with the words just really upsetting. And I remember looking at her and looking at my daughter and taking my daughter, and we left. And that was kind of like the end of me really sharing the Bible and Jesus and things with Ruby. I mean, I do a little bit now, but I found this kid's Bible, and I'll real quick just say that I recently started to read them these stories. And it's very interesting to watch my daughter kind of ask questions and start to learn and see how like things are happening for her. But so she's asking kind of like more nitty-gritty questions, but my son just says like this randomly: Jesus is in my heart. That's all he said. Jesus is in my heart. And I was like, God, how do they know this? And that's what's so amazing, is that, yeah, their third eye is clear. And as long as we aren't imposing it, it's like what happened to Charlie. Like it made so much sense because he didn't have all the garbage in there. And I think that a lot of people, including myself, that are going to come to these shows, you might have a lot of garbage. So the invitation is to just kind of pick it up, all of it, and just kind of set it aside, and just maybe put it in the ocean, maybe burn it, or whatever you need to do. But let's just really be open. And I think that that's what's allowed it to make a lot more sense. Just letting go of what we think it's about and letting it tell us what it's about. It's like, let's not tell the kids what God is. Let's let the kids tell us what is God. Yeah.
Love it.
So
Yeah,
should we jump in to book 1, or is there anything else that we want to share?
I'm ready to jump right in. Charlie, got anything else? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Charlie.
I'll just say a couple of things here. So first, this is from Barb and Brent. Barb Cocker, and you can find Barb, well, only through me, because I'm only on MeWe, but Barb is on MeWe. So Barb created a line of shirts, the Understanding shirts. And so to understand is to trust thyself. And it worked out perfectly because the friend in town that we have where things can be sent to, they dropped it off this morning just in time for the show. So a huge thanks to Barb, and maybe what Barb can do is provide a link to her page where she has all of these wonderful shirts and various things that are of sort of divine speech for you to look at, and Justin can put those into the show notes and stuff. So a big thank you to Barb and Brent in Penticton, British Columbia, Canada. So that's really, really wonderful. And on the big board, let's take a look at a couple of things before we just dive into this, because this is sort of at the beginning to everything, is that King James, you'll notice that in the King James Bible, King James is spelled I-A-M-E-S. So, and remember the proper pronunciation of every single culture except for ours, backwards, disconnection, divided, scattered, leaderless, is that A is ah, E is A, I is E, O is O, as in O, and then there is That's how you pronounce the U, is and and you can heal yourself just through the 5 vowels, because the 5 vowels represent the sacred feminine within you. And if you have her in alignment, she'll rise. And that's magnetism, and it's eternal. So, you know, simple little thing to get right is to just chant yourself, listen to beautiful chants. There's loads of them on the internet now at 432 hertz tuning. So there's wonderful things that you can do, but that is you are energy. You are a sea of energy. And if you're chanting the right things, then your frequency will be like a song on the radio. See that Sunday night. So King James would be pronounced Iames, Iames. And this is the 1611 edition of the Bible. 1 + 6 is 7, 711. The 2 luckiest numbers in the world, 711. Because 711 is when you activate the 7th chakra, which is the crown chakra, and the top of you opens up. God's light, everything enters within you, and you're the luckiest person alive. And that's where 711 comes from, is this when you illuminate the crown chakra. So 711, so you see this, and you'll see that the spelling of Jesus in the Bible is the same, which is, and by the way, the pronunciation is, and this is why it got transmutated in Latin into Jesus, is the pronunciation is Jesus, 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 Jesus. Is the pronunciation of Jesus is Jesus. And the only reason we pronounce it differently is because we were told to do it differently to cause division. So Abba, 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 father, mother, child. How? Because you have the mother, the twin mother, inside the temple, safely at home, married to the father inside the temple. And the 2 temples are the 2 A's, which are the 2 1s. So that's 11. The 2 B's is the mother, 22. And if you add them together, that equals 6, which is the journey of man, because we have 6 in-body chakras to illuminate lucky number 7, and then we get 11. And then King James Bible 1611, 1 + 6 + 1 + 1 equals died with it, divide. And then look at, this is the I. This is the I of the letter I. This is what they're talking about, is that, and that's why you see, whether it's a small I or a capital I, it's a temple, the temple of the letter I, which is the 9th letter of the alphabet, and 9 is divine. And so this is where this understanding comes from. And I did a live show the other day with who did I just do the live show?
Mark.
What's that?
The most recent one with Mark, or the one with Aloise?
Yeah,
and Josh?
with Mark. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I just did a recent show with Mark, and he's great, by the way. I really enjoyed that. We had a wonderful show, and Mark was just saying on the show that, you know, when he first heard understanding, you just sort of saying is like, is this another kind of spiritual thing to sort of suck me in or whatever? And he kind of resisted it for a while, and then as he came to hear me explain it a little more, he said he finally dove into it, which is really important. And this is why, because this is the trilateral nature of our reality. So when you are on the level of the sine wave, you are in understanding, which is a process of learning. You're coming to master. You're the apprentice coming to master, but you're in the game, and so you're understanding something. And that the whole purpose is to gain the crown. You know, see your eye. Your eye is the eyes. The letter 9 is the temple. You have 2 eyes because those are the 2 temples. And by the way, where are your 2 eyes located? Temple, right? So they're telling you, and if you look in, that's that temple within you. So your eyes are the gateways to your soul, because your soul is what exists inside the temple. So it's a gateway. It's a gateway inside of you, and that's this overstanding. So the whole point of this is to achieve overstanding, which is President Trump, right? So you go from the apprentice to the master president, the master Smith, and you stand over society. You stand over the works and the hands of man, and you are free. You are truly free when you are in a position of overstanding. You would never comply with somebody else because they hold no power over you, because you overstand something. The process of knowing this is the journey of man, which is Abba 6. The whole purpose is to become C, and which is the child, and go on this incredible journey. And that's the understanding. But here's the deal. If you still use this word, and if you still comply, and if you still obey authority because somebody told you to, you're in understanding, and you're standing under their authority. And what this means is you're not even in the game. You're not even in the game. You're not doing anything. And as we're going to find out today in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, if your knowledge of the Bible is at the same level of the lawyers, Pharisees, and scribes of the church, you're not going to the kingdom of heaven. You will never get to the kingdom of heaven if your knowledge of the Bible is equal to the Pharisees, who are the teachers of it. So these are the priests in their fancy clothes, and then the lawyers are the ones who interpret the words of the Bible, and the scribes are the ones who write it down. So these are the demons of the church. And if your knowledge of God and the workings of God are equal to them, you will never get into the kingdom of heaven, because you are standing under their authority, and they lie to you. That's all they do, is they lie. And it'll never change. It'll never, ever change. It'll never change. It'll never change. It'll never change. You must understand, and you must rise up. And again, so, and if we draw this really quickly here, because it's important. So the letter S, and there you go. There's the letter S, which is half of the torus field. And this is the sine wave, over and under. And everywhere the sine wave intersects upon the level, this is where you need to be. This is where you need to be. And then linear time stands still in the eye. And this is the eye of the hurricane. So everything out here is chaos. Everything is a storm. But in here, it's always peaceful. It is always eternally balanced and harmonious. And that's the eye of a hurricane. So you have to be upon the level. That's why the earth is level, and the earth is stationary because it's the only way that you can do the work. It's the only way that you can connect to God. It's the only way that you can have the peace of mind to be able to go on this journey and to do all the things that you're going to be asked to do. So sorry for that, but I just wanted to show, because this is the book of Matthew in particular, are these words and this journey. Okay, so there we go.
Great. Thank you for that, Charlie. That's good, and that'll be good. Good coverage of chapter 5 too. So we'll just jump right in. Marie, did you have anything to say, or do you want to go ahead and get started?
I think that was just really enlightening. I'm just sitting with it, because that little, like, being in the peace of it. It's like there's this whole storm happening, and I think that's what's happening to me personally. Is I feel like I'm in the middle of it, and it's peaceful in there, and I don't want to be over or under anyone. I just want to be, together. I just want to be in that vibe, and anything that wants to take me over it or under it is what we're purifying out of ourselves. Like that's what we need to let go of. So yeah, I trust that that's a good interpretation of what you just said, but wow.
It's perfect. And let me jump back in just for 1 sec, because there's something I should have said before, and this is what so Marie touched on it beautifully just now, and Justin mentioned it earlier, and that's this: God never stands in judgment. He is your father. He's your one true father. Your parents are a pair of rents. I love my parents, but they're a pair of rents. I have a son, but I am a parent. So I play a role. The true father is the father. That's why we're all brothers and sisters. So he gifted us free will. That tells you everything. It means that he loves us so much, he set us free. The reason being is that real love only is truly proven when the prodigal son returns home. When the prodigal son or daughter return home, then that's true love. God doesn't want you to love him, because if you don't, he'll hit you with a lightning bolt. That's not love. That's not leadership. That's not fatherness. That's nothing. That's jealousy. It's anger, which is what the church teach you, which is a lie. So what I just wanted to say is that the reason the Bible exists, the reason that Jesus did the things that he did, is because God knows, God knows that everybody out there is assaulting you through this gift of free will. And it's so ugly out there. What do most people now say, Justin and Marie? They say, I wish I didn't have free will. And you don't. The moment you even say that, you don't. They have usurped your free will, and they wear it as a crown over you because you're in understanding of them. Free will allows you to be whatever you're going to be at any, but God does that because he loves you so much and wants you on your own to choose to come home and to choose to hand over everything that you are to him, because that is the most beautiful, blessed. It's free. Everything about creation is free, doesn't cost money, it's free. And so we have to be free like the flowing river, which is the mother. So it's so beautiful. So the Bible exists because God and Jesus take this seriously. They know that these people lie to you. They always have. Why do you think the Bible is always so relevant and will always be relevant? Because it's not a history book that's talking about this guy doing this thing. It is a book of metaphysics. It is the book of psychotherapy. When people don't know this about Carl Jung, but Carl Jung became a completely different person in the second half of his life. But that's not the Carl Jung that Organized Society teaches you about or tells you about. No, he doesn't exist. Read the Red Book by Carl Jung. It reads like the Bible, reads like the Bhagavad Gita. And people, Carl Jung said that, a lot of people call me the father of modern psychotherapy. No, that would be Buddha. he said, I don't know I didn't know anything, and I'm only starting to grow in this true gnosis of psychotherapy, but that would be Buddha. And he said the application of that would be Jesus Christ or Krishna. And it's just so beautiful. But that Carl Jung doesn't exist on the New York Times bestseller list. You can't buy that book because that's not the message they want. So the Bible is the way it is because we have free will. This is serious. What they're doing to us is wrong. It is wicked. It is demonic. It is satanic. And God and Jesus were aware of this, are aware of this, and that's why they did everything they did. That's why they created everything they created to help us. So everything is trying to help us, but we have to help ourselves first. You put the mask on, you have to put the mask on first, and then you can help other people. So you have to help you first. That's what this Bible is all about. And the two bowls, the lower bowl and the higher bowl. And so, yeah, we're starting in the higher bowl, which is great. So I just wanted to reject it because Justin talked about it. Marie just talked about it. That it's there to help you. And oh, woe unto those lawyers, scribes, and Pharisees of the church. Oh, woe unto you. You have no idea what's coming to you. But you see, they did it. God isn't going to mete out any justice to them. They've done it to themselves. Where they're going to and what they're about to experience, God has no part of whatsoever. They did it. You get this? God's not jealous. He's not angry. He's not mean. He's not revengeful. The rewards of this reality are built into the work you do. They did it. They're going to get divine righteous rewards for the work that they did. They can't complain about this. Everything they did was demonic. The rewards they're going to get are demonic. Okay? When we do this work, when we take this path, the rewards we are going to get are incredible. Yesterday was supposed to be a day off, but I wanted everyone to have access to those two movies. The documentary on sex, The Secret Gate to Eden, and then La Belle Verte. They're so important. And I spent virtually most of the day, and I ended up sending out over 1,200 requests. And it's a little bit of a time to do each one. I did 1,200 of them yesterday. And people just reached out and they were just like, Charlie, like I can see how many you're responding to and you're doing all of this and stuff. And it's like, you should be resting, or, you shouldn't do this or whatever. And it's like, we love you. We thank you for doing this. I couldn't believe it. I didn't set out yesterday to garner praise from anybody else by doing that. I knew I had to do it. I knew that I had to do that because those two movies are very important, and now people can capture them, own them, and they have them for themselves to look at again and again and again. I knew I had to do that. And the rewards that I received are built into the work that you do. I didn't do it to receive those rewards. Those rewards came along for the ride.
That's so good. Well, it's an alignment to free will. I mean, your free will is like your thought. Like your thought is to serve God, and so that's heaven. Like heaven is now. Hell is now. We've been in hell. We're coming out of hell. We're going back home where we belong by listening to the thought that is aligned to God's thought, which is service. And that's just a beautiful share. Wow. So, when I picked up the book of Matthew and I got into chapter 1, Charlie, I was really and I remember this as a child, hearing these readings by the priests, going through the lineage of Jesus Christ, the book of generation of Jesus Christ. And I thought that maybe you could share with us a little bit about that, like the function of it, why Matthew has it here, like why is it so important? And then maybe we can go into the Immaculate Conception, because that's definitely something that's been there's all sorts of stuff on that, but I don't know if you want to start there and we can just keep going. I think we wanted to focus on like one topic, one or two topics from each chapter, and then spend the bulk of the show. We'll see how we do on the 6th chapter.
Okay, so it's why would they do this, and what is the first line, everyone? What is the first line? And people are still out there asking which Bible. If you don't have it right now, you can find it online as well, because King James Bible online.org has two options. You can have King James Bible online, and you can have King James Bible 1611 edition online.org. So you can have access to either or online, and I recommend that for everyone right now on your computer, so you can be joining us. If you've printed it out, as so many of you have done, that's even better. It's beautiful either way.
I can also share the screen too if we want to get it up there.
Okay, yeah. So perfect. So so the book of Matthew starts chapter 1, verse 1. That's 11. That's 11. So this is a message from God, and it says the book of the generation of Jesus Christos is the son of David, the son of Abraham. And Abraham was empty, vacuous, just as Sarai was empty and vacuous as the desert that they were crossing. It's an allegory. And they crossed over to the penitent path, the path of the straight and the narrow that led to God. And the breath of life rushed into them, and they became divine once more. And Sarai became Sarah, which is the breath of God, and Abram became Abraham, which is with the breath of God, which they became alive, because God is God of the living, not of the dead. And the first child gifted miraculously at 93 to Sarah was Itzhak. Itzhak in Hebrew is Isaac, and Isaac is joy or happiness. And of course, as I was saying to you before, the secretion that comes from the pituitary gland, which is Sarah, is the happiness secretion of the three kings. The happiness secretion, which is Isaac, which is Itzhak, which is happiness, which is joy, which is harmony, which is balance. So when it says that Jesus Christos is the son of David and the son of Abraham, you're talking not about literal figures, you're talking about symbology. So what is the symbology of the word of David? Why is Jesus righteous, and why is this entire line righteous through the houses of Abraham and David? Because David is the star of David. And now let's take a look here with Marie and Justin on the screen here. How do you make the Star of David? What are the two components that make the Star of David? There you go. There you go. So chapter 1, verse 1, inside. So we're in the temple, and inside the temple, he's telling us that. And by the way, Abra means father, the ultimate father. So, and Ham is like the lamb or the ram or the child of the one father. So Abraham is of God, and because Abra is father, is the righteous, is the one father. And so, and David, so now this is what you need to understand with regard to the Bible is that you're being told this inside of the temple, okay? Because it's 1:1, Matthew 1:1. So inside the temple, he's saying Abraham, which is the lamb of God, who produced David, and then David is father, mother, and in the center is the child. See? And what shape does the father and the mother make? The diamond. Who's the diamond? Jesus Christ. Absolutely, Jesus Christ. That's the son. That is the chalice of Christ. That is the child of God. So you see how the truth answers every question? See how the truth is all-encompassing? Even the shapes of these words, even the shapes that come from the numbers, the symbols, the shapes, everything, the definitions, everything paints one story. That's the one story, and that's creating the diamond. So the father with the mother creates the diamond, which is the child. That's what you have to become, is the diamond. If you don't use your pineal gland, if you do not use your pineal gland is like crystals of sand. That's it. They have to fuse into a crystalline structure through this rush of fire that comes when you rise within yourself, okay? Because hot air rises, cold air descends. hot air rises. So you have to rise up to the kingdom of heaven. You have to do the work. And then this is transforming the pineal gland into a vast desert wasteland where you can wander for 40 days and 40 nights and be sorely tempted by the devil, chapter 3. Or you can use it, connect to God, and ascend at the right-hand side of the Father for all time, for all eternity. So significance, why is that in there? We don't need to go through all of this, but there is some very key symbology in here. The key is number one, which is that the son of David is we are in this dualistic reality. So that's why we have this one story, because it needs to connect where we came from, singularity, falling down into the duality. So that is that diamond shape of pointing to the single point above, singularity, falling into the duality. And the only way out is to come to the single point of duality, which is the mother, because God is up here and the mother is right down at the base in the root Muladhara chakra, but she's that single eye. She's that single point of the physical realm. She's the God of the physical realm. That's what Jesus says in so many of these books that you may not be aware of, is that the same level of humility, penitence, love, dedication to the Father has to be given to the mother, or she won't rise. And if she doesn't rise, we won't rise. So that's the diamond. So the singularity exists here in the physical, but only through the mother. She's the key. We rise. We rise when we play the flute of righteousness and the snake uncoils. You see that? This is very real. It's magical, because it's all energy. It's all frequencies. You get the right frequency with the right energy, anything is possible. The magic can occur. So it's incredible. So that's what I wanted to share with you. In 1:1, they are showing you that the true Son, the miraculous creation of God, Abraham, the son of the Father, which is an allegory, is the father of the Star of David. And you are the star. You are the star. You're a superstar. Stop slumming it. And, and I'm a big Hillary Clinton fan. And, you're a superstar. You're a superstar. So Matthew 1:1, you're a superstar. You are related directly of this perfect lineage to God, through the Son of God, through the Star of David. And it's all being, it's the truth because it's being told to you between the Ida and the Pingala, between Joachim and Boaz, between the two pillars, the twin temples, the two towers. It's being told right here in Matthew 1:1. So that's the most significant part of Matthew 1:1, is that first passage, which is telling you that you're a superstar. So you have to become a diamond. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Shine on, diamond girl. You're so fine. And fine doesn't mean what they told you. Fine is one of the most brilliant words there is. You're super fine. You're the super fine, thin, white line that is divine, because that thin, fine is that silver white fiber that connects all the way, connects at the base of you all the way up to the Father in heaven. It's fantastic. Magical.
And Susan just said in the chat, Merkaba, but you break down that word into three parts, and you've got Mer, the mother, Ka, the child, and Ba, the father. It's the three parts that all fitting together.
By the way, and Merkaba is saying Israel. But we decoded. I think I'm the only person that has ever done that. I shared that with Josh the other day, and Josh almost had. He almost leapt out of his body. He's just like, how did I not see that? Wow. And so it's raise, Ra is El, raise the light, raise the El, raise the light. And so Merkaba is Ka Mer Ba. And that's that's why, because they break it up so that you don't connect and see the singular truth. So but yeah, so all of those words, and and again, by the way, each of those symbols are father, mother, and child, by the way. So yep, it's that one story, and they do everything they can to tip us upside down. So our job is to right the ship, and you do that inside of your temple. So now, Justin, you were saying in your spreadsheet that you sent to me some great points about the lineage. By the way, this perfect lineage connects to the perfect Joseph, who was so humble. He didn't know what to do with beautiful, so pure, and divine, a chosen one of the Father to create this immaculate conception, this child. And Joseph was just like, Father, I am not worthy of all of this. And God is like, you are. You absolutely are. You humble. If you're asking that question, you absolutely are my son, my child. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. 14 lines. 14, 14, 14. 3 14s makes 42. What's the 24 in Egypt? Anyone? You know how you always see that symbol in Egypt, which is they're fused together, the 2 and the 4. Always you see that symbol of within Egypt, and you reverse the 2 4 to 42. This is sort of dark to light, light and dark. 2 4 is the 2 12s, the double completion, which is the twin temples, which is the journey of man within us, which is 6. But you reverse it, then it's light to darkness instead of darkness to light. Is the significance of it. So the 24 is this journey from the uncles of Egypt to rise up within the pyramid to the capstone. So that's the whole point. So that's why there's 3 14s to get to the 42. The 3 14s would be the 3 chambers in the pyramid to be able to access and rise up to the capstone. So you have to get out of your uncles rooted in the desert of Egypt, where in a desert, everything looks the same. Everything looks the same in a desert, and you get lost in a hurry. But when you are here, and this is a fulcrum, a focal point, this is a pendulum moment in our reality, because there's only one message here. There's only one way. It's so easy. Everything is so easy when you ascend. It's like I was sharing the other day on a show, so true. When you climb a hill, even just a hill, 900 feet, 1,000 feet. When I was a kid, we had, in Victoria, we had Mount Talmy, which is just over 1,000 feet, Mount Doug, which is about 1,500 feet. I used to climb them all the time. I don't know why. Obviously, we now know why, right? I used to climb those 2 mountains all the time. There's so much clarity that comes from climbing a mountain, because whether it's in the physics, see how the truth is holistic? Whether it's in the physical or it's in the metaphysical, when you rise, you gain perspective. You become the king of all you survey. Remember what I said the other day about survey? Survey is 2 words. Sur in Latin is south. Ve is view. South view. The whole point is for you to become Jesus Christ in the 13th cranial nerve, which is connected to the claustrum on a straight line back here with a chimney. And Santa gives presents, gives presents down the chimney. And this is where the claustrum to Jesus, the good children, all those good children, he knows who's naughty and who's nice. Jesus is nice. He gets all the presents down the chimney, and that's the North Pole. Why is this mythical story about Santa Claus being at the North Pole? Because this crown, the back crown of you, is the center of all things, is the center of the earth, is the center of your reality, of our entire reality. It is. and that's the North Pole. And when you stand at the North Pole, you are the king of all you survey, south view. And what is the only thing that's magnetic on this earth? The North Pole, Mount Meru, the North Pole. So when you go to the North Pole, you have to go up Mount Meru. So you have this incredible perspective, and everywhere you look is south. Every direction, everywhere you look is south. You are the king of all you survey when you go to the North Pole. And that's the chrism, raising the chrism home, which is Christ consciousness. And that's your salvation. Jesus Christ is your salvation. He's your Lord and your Savior, because he is salvation, which is the saline one, which is the chrism oil, which is Christ consciousness within us. So again, it's just so amazing. You'll never get bored with this story. You'll only just get lighter and lighter and lighter. And one day you'll just start to fly because you're so excited and passionate about your love with God. You'll just start to fly one day. Why do you think all those pictures of the Catholic monks 1,000 years ago are shown in rapture, rising off the ground? Because all they did was they meditated and stayed in this constant connection to God. And by the way, why do the monks have that weird hair design where they shave that circle, that circle, and then at the center of the circle, by the way, is the North Pole, which by the way is a monadic circle, which by the way is, our Earth, right? So the landmass is the single eye in the center, surrounded by the Antarctic ice wall around the edges. And that is an eye. That is the eye of the physical earth. It's your eye. You look into your eye, you're seeing the exact same things. The monadic circle, which is how you enter into meditation, tells you everything. Why did they have that open? Because that's the real crown. Where does Queen Elizabeth put her crown? She puts her crown here. Why? Because she's a fool. Because she wants to rule you instead of align herself with God and with Jesus. This is where you put your crown. This is where you wear your crown, because that's a penitent man who was always ready to serve, which is humble before God, which is the penitent man. And that is what I am. I may not be much past that, but at least I am humble and penitent, always ready to serve before God. And that's the true crown. And that's why they shave the head. Now, take the Hebrew tradition. This is going to hurt some people, but I'm sorry, it's the truth. Take the Hebrew position, which was created artificially to distract you, to detract from the right way. How do you write in Hebrew? You don't write left to right. You don't go to the east. Everything with you go to the right, go to the right, go to the right, go to the east. In Hebrew, they write to the west, which is death. They go right to left. They go backwards. Everything about Hebrew is the wrong way. And it's the same way with the swastika. The swastika, which is the Big Dipper in the sky, is always coming up and to the right, always coming up and to the right, always coming up and to the right, to receive the gifts of God, and then it drops them back into your open mind, and your open mind receives, because you're 360 degrees, you're magnetic, and you receive all. So in the Hebrew faith, the swastika is going in the wrong direction, and it's right to left. And so when you start looking into everything with the Hebrew tradition, it's all based on the truth. It's all based on the one story, but it's all backwards. Everything is completely backwards with regard to this story, and it's designed to confuse you. And then they claim that, they're the real Jews, when the Bible makes it so clear. This isn't me. This is the Bible. A Jew is one inwardly. And circumcision is not of the letter. It is of the mind and the heart. So, it's a metaphor. It is a metaphorical thing. You must be humble before God. You must circumcise the left brain ego and willingly hand over that tithing to God to enter into the kingdom that is righteous to the right, up and to the right. Everything is up and to the right. So I wanted to share that with everyone as well. That again, some of you may not like that, but I'm sorry, that's the truth. That's the way that they created. And remember, this false construct of the false Jews and this false construct of Zionism, and then everything is like, oh, everybody hates the Jews and hates it. What do you mean? A Jew is the most beautiful thing, because a Jew is he, as per the Bible, who seeks for God within. So a Jew is perfection. The path and the journey of a Jew is perfection. So who hates Jews? Nobody would hate a Jew, because a Jew is a beautiful thing. It's the fake and the frauds. And who are the fake and the fraud? Who are the Zionist Jews that work this deal to get the Palestine back into the hands of this ancient lost tribe of the 12 tribes? It's the Phoenicians. Don't kid yourself. There's one story. There's God, good, and there is devil, evil. And the Phoenicians are the Canaanites, and that's evil. We are the children of Abel. They are the children of Cain, who can't. Abel means a shepherd. Ultimately, what an Abel is a shepherd. That's why when God invited Cain and Abel to be present before him, Abel showed up with a righteous lamb that God then murdered and barbecued. Come on, let's put some bourbon on that and let's just cook it up. Oh, that's going to be good. Maybe we'll have a beer with that and stuff. No, it's metaphorical. God favored Abel when he showed up with this perfect lamb. What did Cain show up with? The toils of his garden. Okay, that doesn't mean that's evil or it's an evil thing. It's an allegory. It's symbology. Cain worked and toiled physically in the land. That means he was thinking for himself. So in other words, when Cain came before God and God was displeased because he brought a wheelbarrow filled with marrows, right? Because it's bone marrow, right? It's the physicality of this world. God doesn't exist in the physical world. That's the realm of the mother, right? So the diamond, there's that upper singularity and the bottom singularity. And the only way we can get back up is through the bottom singularity, which is the mother. Only through the mother to the father. So the symbology or allegory of that moment where then Cain started his evil left brain started to work, and then he had this incredible plan to do all of these horrible things, was because God favored Abel, because God showed up with a lamb. That is no thought. That is no thought, because a lamb is a righteous thought of God inside of you. So why do you think that ancient story exists, that when we daydream or when we fall asleep, we count sheep? Sheep are righteous arcs of righteous energy that are jumping, Capernaum, that are jumping over your crown, Galilee, Capernaum, Galilee, are jumping over you. I count the sheep, right? So this is the beautiful thoughts of God that are bestowed upon you when you take no thought for yourself. That's a sheep. That's why when Abel showed up, he had a righteous lamb and God was pleased. Cain showed up and he had a wheelbarrow of marrows and he was displeased, because it's Cain, you don't get this. You don't get this at all. I'm not coming to you there. You have to come to me here. This is heaven upon earth. You have to come up. And he was toiling under the ground in the rocks, in the red soil. So this is that beginning symbology of the Bible, Genesis, and that story of Genesis. And then we get to Abraham and Sarah, and then we get to Jacob, and Jacob crossing that river. And then everything begins to happen when the child Jacob goes on this journey, leaves everything behind. On the left-hand side of the river, crosses the River Jordan. To the right side, wrestled his ego for a day and met God, saw God in a place called Peniel. So, yeah, that was really, sorry.
That was really beautiful, and it never apologize to us because we love everything. I just want to like just say though for me and for everybody to make sure that I'm understanding this, like we're not to take this literally. So it's not like these are the 14 generations of like these were the grandfathers, these were the sons, like that, right? We're not to take it like that. And then secondly, it's in terms of the Immaculate Conception. One thing that I love that Joseph was willing like to take Mary, but I think that it's something that I want to look at is this this virgin, was, a lot, because a lot of churches and a lot of people get stuck on this, and then this plays out in how we operate and how we do partnerships and so forth, is like, so did Jesus have brothers and sisters? Were his parents ever together? Was this really the Immaculate Conception? Like the Holy Spirit came to Mary, filled her with a baby. Like, I get we're not supposed to take it literally, but I also see, and as it relates to the Jewish aspect of things too, how, and we were going to go here, so this is kind of perfect. If you could touch on all three of these, is that like, the Jews were the chosen people, and so then there's like all of this history that we've lived through that's been so false based on that perception because of the lineage, because of the 14 generations, the 14 times 3 times, like, so I want to invite us all to look at it from the broader space, which is impossible not to do with Charlie around, but just if you can help us clear some of that debris that I think a lot of people have around the Immaculate Conception, around anti-Semitism, one more time, and then this is not literal, like what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's right. So a Jew is not one is not one of genetics. Again, the Bible destroys, as we will go through and we will show you, the Bible destroys this genealogy. How did I just do that? Because in Matthew 1:1, which is, the first chapter, no, Charlie, come on, it's all about lineage. It's all about, genealogy. And no, it isn't. No, it isn't, because it's Abraham who had the son David. And remember, David is a shape. So you see, it's alignment. And what is Abraham, which is the child that is of the Father, of the one Father. Now, how did Abraham and Sarah become the true chosen children of God? Because they took action, because they did something. So you see, it's epigenetical. It's not genetics. Genetics is nothing more than how you look, and then your DNA is a blueprint. How you look, and RNA is simply a gene sequencer. That's it. Doesn't do anything else. It doesn't predetermine you for cancer, which doesn't even exist. It's just acidosis. Wow. You're an alkaline body, and then you poison yourself with battery acid from the moment you're born, and then you wonder why you have this thing called cancer. Wow. So no. Chapter 1:1 within the temple is telling you the truth. David is the Star of David, and it's a shape that creates an energy, because 1 and 1 is 1. And 1 and 1 and 1, which is divine, 1 and 1 and 1 is 1. The one family from the one Father and the one Mother, which transcends duality. Duality is the diamond. Singularity with the Father, duality in our ankles in Egypt. But if you go beneath to the Mother, if you go within yourself, deep within yourself, you get the bottom point, and that's the Mother, which is the singularity. Singularity, Father, Mother. And when you're apart from them, where are you? You are in Egypt, and you're lost in the desert in Egypt. You watch TV, you're lost in Egypt. You no connection to the Father and the Mother. It's their world, and they got you. And you disassociate from their world, and you get yourself a little boat, and you go out on the ocean every single day, and you will connect to those two singularities. And that's the silver cord. That's the silver cord. And see how it's always silver and gold? Silver is the Mother uncoiling 3.5 times to get through the physicality to the metaphysicality of the singularity of the Father, who is golden, who was golden, okay? And that's the horizon. Horizon, H. Eighth letter of the alphabet, eternal. Scalar wave is the breath of God. That is the ether. E is ether. H is the action of the ether, is the breath of God, which is life. God is the God of the living. He breathed all life into existence, right? That's how all existence. So everything is epigenetical. Epi is above genetics, above the skin or the derma, the layer of the cell, the atom. We are more than that. We are the sum of the whole of the parts. So we're not genetics. So that destroys that. The Bible destroys this ridiculous notion. And Matthew shows you this, that it's a shape. Abraham did the work and chose to become Abraham instead of Abram. And he is Abra is the single father, and Ham is the perfect gift, or the lamb or the ram of the single father. And then again, David is the Star of David, which is father, mother, making the diamond, which is the child. And then it shows you the way, because it's the truth and it's all encompassing. That's the way, silver and gold, silver and gold. And that's the silver cord within us. That's the silver cord. That's why it's Jacob's ladder, Jacob's ladder. And you have to uncoil the mother around Jacob's ladder to get home to the Father. And the pineal gland is a portal. And everything, by the way, again, starts through the lower portal, because there's two portals. If God is a singularity above and the mother is a singularity below, then the pineal gland is the portal to God above. What's the portal for the mother below? 22. What's the 22nd letter of the alphabet? V, for victory, for vagina, which is the entrance point to the womb. VW. Bad people did bad things. VW. No, beautiful beyond description. So V is for the vagina of the mother, which is a portal to God. And that's why that other video that I shared with you is sex, sacred sex, and the key to, or the gate to Eden. It's entering through with the key through the gate to Eden. So again, it's you have to know this. That's why when we fell into duality, now we got the gift of the mother along with the father to create the family, which is the three. Now it's all about the three to become one. 1 + 1 is 1. 1 + 1 + 1, which is true divinity, is 1. That's what it's all about. So that's one thing. So that means then that the Bible is so important, because it's in 3 separate sections, 3 separate passages where the Bible speaks specifically to a Jew is one inwardly, not outwardly. Okay? So that means that a Jew is defined by their actions, not their birthright. So the story that the Jews are the chosen ones. What? God, who loves us all completely equally, because love is there's no tiers. Sorry, caste system of Hinduism. Destroy the message of Krishna by letting these sick men, rewrite the story and create a caste system. But it's okay, because the meek shall inherit the earth. He who is humble, he who is meek, he who is humble before God shall inherit the kingdom of God. Only he who is meek, who is penitent before God, who is ready, willing, and able to serve God and God's creation shall inherit the kingdom of God. And that's what it means. So, and then the Immaculate Conception is the Star of David. So the Immaculate, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Hi, sweetheart. So the Immaculate Conception, once again, is more about a frequency, is more about a shape for these miracle things to occur. So when you get yourself into alignment, Joseph, who was in alignment, with Mary, who was in alignment, then the Immaculate Conception occurs. And that's, by the way, when you see those images of the Star of David, there will often always be that image in the very center. Some do it with a dot, some put like a chalice, like a cup, or the chalice of Christ in the very center of it, because that single dot is the emergence of the child when the father and the mother are in alignment with each other. When they become the diamond, they create the diamond, which is that single dot in the center, which is the child, which is 3, which is the letter C, which is the cup of Christ, the chalice of Christ. So Immaculate Conception comes to every couple where both partners do the work. So if you both are in alignment, you shall receive. Never, ever, 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 ever spill your semen, because that's Jesus Christ within you. It is. I'm sorry. It's the truth. It is. It is what every single ancient book and every single ancient teacher of this one story has all taught, that this is the essence of Christ consciousness within us. And that is this fluid, which is they call the CSF, which is the cerebral spinal fluid. It's the sacred Christ fluid within you. And where does it exist? It exists within your spine, and then it enters into the city of Venice, which is inside of your head with all of these canals. And then that's how you traverse inside of the skull, is through these canals. And that fluid is salvation. That fluid is a saline substance. Why? Because it has to be of the sea, has to be salt water, because it has to come from the mother, Mary, which is the sea. What is the sea? Mer in French, or mar in Latin, or mare. It's all Mary. It's all Mary. And the child can only come through the womb of the mother, and she is the saline body. Again, why do waves endlessly wash upon the shore every night on the ocean? Doesn't matter where you live, every night upon the ocean, the waves are rushing in to connect, because that's the mother reaching out to touch the father through the creation, which is the child. What is a wave? It's us. A wave is electrical creation caused by the breath of God upon the surface of the mother, and then when this perfect oscillation hits bottom and it is violently thrust forward, then it crashes upon the sea in glory, abound for the Father. And then it rushes back in the sand, in the foam. It rushes back in the sand of the foam to be back with the mother, which is back in the womb. And then all it requires is a new breath of God. New is re. New is re. So resurrection is the re-breath of the wind upon the sea, creating another wave. And there's another lifetime. And so you just do this again and again and again until you choose to cast your net to the right. So everything that they are saying that gets everybody angry at everybody else is just a bullshit game. It's just a lie. And then, but there are so many people that are so bought into this that I'm a Jew. And that's it. And they're just listening to a story that tells them that they're special and that they're separate and that they're above the rest of us. And wow. So it isn't true. We're all of the one Father. We're all of the Father and the Mother. So we're all one. We're all one. That's it. We all have to get along with each other. A Jew, a child of Abel, not of Cain. So the world today is of this country of Jews, not the people within who are living here at the moment, and the horrific, virtually everyone in the world. But look at who these leaders of this Jewish nation upon earth, look at what they stand for. Look at who they are and what they stand for. They are Canaanites. That's not Abel. That's not a Jew. Sorry. And that, my friend, is by definition the Phoenicians, who are the Canaanites, who are Cain, who are the left brain. That's what it all is. That's what it all means. An immaculate conception is so real, and it happens the moment that Joseph, which is the masculine, and Mary, which is the feminine, are righteous and in balance with one another. And then this divine conception will occur. You don't need to conceive through your semen. You can if you wish, because God so much, he's the king, and it is free will. So you have a free will opportunity. But when you do it of the physical, you're thinking for yourself. And there are consequences to doing this process on your own. And right, what do most mothers feel like when they go through the borning process the first time through? I feel so afraid because I don't know anything and nobody's telling me anything. I just feel so alone because you did it through the wrong path, the left-hand path, the red shift path. You did it the physical way, and it's going to be painful to you. This is a painful process when you do it on your own. There is a Star Trek episode, incredible, on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Again, this is Gene Roddenberry. And the ship's counselor, which is Deanna Troi, she becomes immaculately conceived on the ship. And then the process of this gestation period is a fraction of this 9 months of the physical process. And the child was born without any pain whatsoever. And when the child came out, the child grew at a rate that was astonishing. And that's this righteous path, this righteous so he's not the only one that has talked about this. And the only reason that you don't hear this stuff is they don't want you hearing about this stuff. And so then Gene Roddenberry has to write this as an allegory in a Star Trek episode, which again is about going within, not without. But can't get those shows made unless you're appearing to serve Mammon.
Wow. Thank you for all that.
It's tough to hear, Justin, but it's the truth. For some people it's tough, but it's the truth. And what we have to just simply say to people is that it's okay. And if you want to fight over that, you'll come back to us when you're ready. You'll come back to us when you're ready, because there is the one way. And remember, in the Bible, every time name is used, and therefore the name of Jesus is not a name as in a person's name. It's the way. Jesus is the way. So when you say Jesus, when you say Jesus, you are not saying the name, you're saying the way. And what is Jesus? It's Jupiter and Zeus, Father and Son. What did we just see on December 21st? They were right together on December 21st. They made the Star of Bethlehem. They made the one. They showed you that 1 and 1 are 1 on December 21st. The great conjunction that occurred on December 21st. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. And if you don't know the symbology and numerology behind all of this, then you miss the message. You just missed the most important message that existed in the last 26,000 years, and you missed it if you didn't know that. So everything is about shapes and frequencies, not literal stories. So Matthew 1:1 is showing you that inside the temple, where only the truth is spoken, inside the temple, it's all about the Star of David. It's all about the true Son of Man, who was Abraham, who was humble and penitent before God. And then it's about the Star of David, which is this shape, which is a frequency, of energy. And that's what you have to become. And if you are the Star of David, remember, it makes the diamond. But what happens, Justin, you love this. Think about this with the pyramid. When the pyramid, because below the ground, there is the opposite of the phallic. So every pyramid is a diamond, guaranteed. And when they finally fall into unison, they eat in the middle. Wow, the middle way. That's the Star of David. The Star of David is diamond that finally aligned itself, and it fell to make. So let me quickly do this on the whiteboard. Everybody can just quickly see this. We'll take the understanding eye up. So once again, that is the top of the pyramid, the father, symbol for the mother, and there's the diamond shape because there's the mother. And when they get into alignment with each other, what do? They meet in the middle. And that's the 13th letter of the alphabet, which is the letter M, which is Mary, mother, magnetism, motion, movement, meditation, mediation. I mean, oh my God. And what do? They meet in the middle, and that's the Star of David, isn't it? That's the Star of David. That's the Star of David. And then there is the cup of Christ in the Star of David. That's when you have Immaculate Conception, is when you become the Star of David. So if you want Immaculate Conception, then the father has to give, the mother has to give, and the result is the child. Isn't that so beautiful? Isn't that so beautiful? And that is shape.
Yeah, it just blows me away. I mean, it's so perfect. And yeah, and it just draws on the, in Genesis, the story of when the first external orgasm happened, the first ejaculation happened, and we diverted away from the truth, and God said, you're going to experience pain because of that, not because he's judgmental by any means. Just like that's how this was set up. We were given the option to choose one way or another, and we chose the other way. So we're going to have to experience the pain until we are like, okay, I'm tired of that experience. I'm ready to go into the bliss once again. Yeah, it's so beautiful, so perfect.
Wow. And that's what I just want to share with everyone again. Gene Roddenberry. So I don't worship William Shatner, the actor. Don't know if he was a good guy, bad guy. I hope he was a good guy. I don't worship Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock. I hope he was a good guy. Don't know if he was a good. They're actors. They play roles. I don't know. But Gene Roddenberry, I know. Professor Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, I know. And Donald Fagen and Walter Becker of Steely Dan, I know. And Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson, I know. I know these people, and they are Gnostic teachers. They are of the bloodline of the Essenes, which is that they align themselves to become diamonds. And they talk, shine on, you crazy diamond. Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. What did Roger write about in the band? When Syd Barrett was taken away by MI5, MI6. And they tore Syd down and removed him because Syd was just writing all of this music that was transmuting people up the silver path, up the silver way, from the singularity of the mother to the father. Can't have that, Syd, bye-bye. Roger said he felt alone in that band because the other three were all from privileged British families. They didn't give a shit about the people. And Roger and Syd wrote songs that were trying to illuminate people to the crown so they could be free. And the other three didn't give a shit about this. Who runs the band Pink Floyd now? Eventually, after the album The Wall, which by the way is a metaphor on so many levels from Roger Waters, right? But he's also saying, and the press, the critics are all saying, well, he wrote that because he felt disconnected from his fans. No, he felt disconnected from the band members and a lot of the audience and that left-hand path that's out there. And he felt all alone on the other side of the wall, and that there was this massive division between them. And then Roger wanted to break apart the band and everybody could just go on their own way. But no, you see, you can't have that, because by that time, Pink Floyd is a mammoth institution worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You can't have that. So the other band members took Roger to court, and the judge awarded the other three band members the right to continue performing as Pink Floyd, the corporation, and that Roger would be, suitably compensated financially for this. See, demons, 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 demons. And what did Roger Waters have the courage about 5 or 6 years ago to come out and say? He was saying that Israel are the real fascists in the world. He said that the nation state, not the people, but the nation state of Israel are the real fascists in the world. They're the ones that are committing all of the atrocities. And and if you say that, you're demonized for saying that. That's what Roger Waters said. So you have to shine on, you crazy diamond. You absolutely do, because it's all about this. And of course, that's a shape. So everything is about shape because we are energy. So it's frequencies, it's numerology, it's symbology, it's shapes. That's what it's all about. Not genes.
Wow. It's so healing to hear that. It is, because the whole idea of the state of Israel and the anti-Semitic stuff going around and being demonized by saying that this just doesn't make sense, and just even having the wherewithal to speak something out loud is what we're learning from this material, is that you're not supposed to fit into that world. That world is the problem. You are the correction. You're the solution. You're staying that line, and you're being able to call a spade, and this is just not right. So that's powerful that he did that. And I heard recently too, Van Morrison is speaking out publicly now on a lot of the things. I don't know if he's a good guy or bad guy, but he has had some beautiful music.
That's right. I would think so. And not this Sunday, but the following Sunday is the first of many Van Morrison songs to come, because Van Morrison never wrote a song that wasn't alchemical. Absolutely. Every single song he wrote that was alchemical, was about God, was about this desire to connect to God. Moon Dance, what do you think the Moon Dance is? It's the Kundalini rising to the Father. It's one of the greatest songs ever. Caravan. You got to get, where's the caravan? It's right here. This is the caravan. You got to get to the caravan, man, if you want to get to see the man. And every single song Van Morrison wrote was about God and this journey to God. So Van Morrison is, wearing a diaper on your face. That's anti-Jesus Christ, and it is. That is.
Well, it's what you're saying. It's raising our Christ consciousness, and that being the leader in our reality. And so whatever, Christ says a lot of things, as we're going to keep going, that were appalling to the people of his day. And at one point they're like, how does he speak with such authority? But it was like his authority came from God and knowing who he was. And that's what we're learning to do too, and using the people around us and in the public that are doing that and aligning to that energy supports all of us in picking up our cross and also doing that.
Yeah, Marie was just sharing the last couple of weeks. Marie was just sharing about this last phase for her to get rid of that old part of her life, that old way in her life, that association to busyness and stuff. And Marie was saying, she was so thankful for some thoughts that I shared with her. But basically, what it's saying to her, to all of you, to everyone, is this: just get into that bubble. The boy in the bubble. The boy in the bubble is in the eye of the hurricane. By the way, that's what those kids experienced in the white squall. So if you want to see that they died or something and that was horrible, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. That they did everything right and they ascended where people can't see them any longer, which is on the inside of the eye of the hurricane, because everywhere else is a storm. And that's what, when I was explaining that to Marie, that's what Marie said to me. She said, oh my God, thank you. Because she said, my whole life, I'm so sick and tired of fighting. Everything is a fight and a battle all the time. That's right, because you're trying to toil in the soil and bring a wheelbarrow full of foods that can be eaten by locusts or something. There's a plague. There's always a plague. Locusts are a metaphor for a plague. And there's always a plague in Egypt. There's always a problem in the left brain. Get out of the left brain. How does Jesus say to do that? Take no thought for your life. There's no more important words that were ever mentioned. It is the way. Jesus is not a name. It is the way. Jesus is the way. He took no thought for his life. So he knew to do all of these things. Why do you think there's so many lepers in the Bible? Why was leprosy such a big thing in the Bible? It's an allegory. What does leprosy do? It eats away at you. It eats away at you. That's your left brain. Your left brain eats away at you, and you die at 55, and you go, yeah, well, I had 54 pretty good years. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? 50. When you're born, a day to God is 1,000 years. So when you're born, you're 1,000 years old, minimum. You know, like in the movie La Belle Verte, you know, your third set of teeth, and they're going, what? Third set of teeth? Yeah, they come in around 200, and when you turn about 220, 22 would make perfect sense. Around 220, you get your third set of teeth, but you wouldn't know that because you all drop off and die at 55 and 60. So yeah, of course, but you just don't know this stuff because you toxify. And, you know, and again, everyone goes, oh, I got this, I got that. It must be something I ate. Way more powerful than what you eat are the thoughts you take. Take no thought for your life. Take no thought for your life. Get the hell out of Dodge. Get the hell out of Dodge, because Dodge is Egypt. Cross the river and get into the Holy Land, which is perpetually flowing with milk and honey. Who visited Jesus when he was a babe, when he was first born? 3 magi. Magic, magnetism, 3 gifts of the right hemisphere of the brain. They came out of the east, right? Melatonin, serotonin, dopamine. If you have melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, you just live. You just live. You don't die, you live. The book of Revelations is about your endocrine system. It is. It's about pineal, pituitary, hypothalamus. It's about melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. And if you connect, you go to the right, the story's over because you've won. VW is the victory, because once you realize that the key portal is the V, which is the vagina below, then you have the womb, which is you've won the game. This is over. You're the winner because you have the W. What is the W? It's the vagina with the father. It's the vagina with the father there inside the vagina. It's not gross, and it's not disgusting, and it's not a sex act. It just symbolizes the togetherness of the masculine and the feminine, right? So that's what a W is when they're together. When they're together, we're all one and we win. So you win when you realize that this journey is sexual in nature, and it all starts through the healing of the mother, through the portal to God of the vagina, to the pineal gland, and then that's victory, and that is you winning the game. And then what comes next? It's over. So what comes next? X, Y, Z. A, B, C is the beginning of the story. That's father, mother, child. X, Y, Z is the ending of the story. Perfect balance. X, perfect balance between the father and the mother. Y is now the C, the child who is a cup empty, is now the cup runneth over. The cup runneth over because the father and the mother and the child are all together, and the wisdom of the father is just filling up his cup, and there's so much it runs over, and that's the Y. And then the end of the story is the epitaph, which is the Z, and that's Zorro for Zoroaster, and the mark of Zorro, which is father, child, mother, eternally connected in perfect balance. End of story. You've done it. And then you are Z forever. And that's what this is all about. That's why you are a Galaxy class star cruiser, and your journey is to go through the alphabet. Can you believe that? Yep, believe it. Your journey is to go through the alphabet, the building blocks of life, and they're all numbers as well, 1 through 26.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the 3 wise men and the 3 gifts, because that was a theme I wanted to touch on for chapter 2. as far as drawing on the distinction that this is not a literal text. This is about our physiology. You know, this is about the raising of the chrism oil, which can lead to these 3 sacred secretions, giving us this eternal bliss at all times. But I did want to ask Charlie, in chapter 2, they do mention that the 3 wise men feared Herod's wrath, and so they went home another way. And so I didn't know, was this signifying that because this is early on in the story, is this signifying that they're still in not an alkaline state, so these sacred secretions are not allowed to maintain, and that's why they had to return home a different way?
No, it just
Okay.
means this is the price you pay when you enter into hell. That's it. So it's just when you come back to be the bodhisattva, you have to do the work, because if then the temptation is to stop doing the work. It's just, turn on that TV and get me a beer. I want a beer, and I want to see those girls on that Baywatch, and you turn that on and give me a beer, and then the work stops and you're lost and you're trapped in your uncles in Egypt again. And that's why the Magi had to turn around and get the hell back out of Dodge again. You have to be so ready to return to be the bodhisattva, because the temptation to fall back into hell again is there in every single moment. It never goes away. And it can't go away, because that's the gift of free will. You always have that choice. And then when you don't take that choice, when you deny temptation, when you deny that sin of emotion of temptation, then you will be rewarded. The rewards are built into the work that you do. And then it becomes, so the more you do this, every day that you do this, you get better at this, because it becomes easier and easier. A day spent in heaven, what does Jesus say? Essentially, in many ways, he used this as a metaphor with, the amount of people that were awakened versus, the rest of them. One person is worth like 10,000. One illuminated lighthouse is worth 10,000 burnt out bulbs. And it just works that way. It works that way. So every day that you spend in righteousness, it's another day where there's a whole part of you inside of you that goes, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to forget. I'm not going to forget. I'm not going to forget. Wizard of Oz, I'm not going to forget. I need to go on this journey one more time on the yellow brick road. I need to go to the green city. Emerald is eternity. Emerald City, the green Emerald City, is an allegory for eternity. And so she has to go one more time to never, ever forget. And by the way, why is this story right now that we're learning about the Cabal so bad? So we'll never forget. And that's the thing, folks. If we don't forget, we're never going back. We'll never allow it to happen again, because it's the worst of the worst. And then having the worst of the worst allows you to be so thankful that we now have the best of the best. And that's why they say the best is yet to come. Bible speaks to this all the time about the best is coming, and that good times are ahead of us. They are. The moment that you let go of that physical left brain reality, it just gets good. And every day it gets easier and easier. Santos teaches this so brilliantly. Santos says, essentially, you can look at it this way: you're further on the path that is straight and narrow. And if you draw that line out into the distance, what does that look like when you go further? Every day you go further down that path, it looks like this. And that's your perspective vision. That's your perspective vision. Off into the distance, it just becomes very, very difficult to see anything but that dot, that light at the end of the road, that dot at the very, very end of that journey. And so that's what Santos teaches, that the further you go down the path that is straight and narrow, it's so narrow that even if you wanted to turn around, you no longer can turn around, because the top comes down, the bottom comes up, the sides come in. There's no room to turn around. And that's you doing the work. That's you doing the work, but that's God protecting you. So even if you don't make it in this lifetime, I love that Santos teaches this, and it's so true. And that's what the Warren Beatty movie Heaven Can Wait is all about, is that even if you don't do it in this lifetime, where you resurrect this temple and you get it to death to pass over you. That's the Passover. When death passes over you, then there's not another notch on the belt. There's not another ring around the tree. You stop growing older. It's exactly how it works. This magic of eternal life is exactly how it works. If you can't do it in this lifetime, but you've done the work, you will not go back to the beginning. You will not go back to the forgetful child with iffy parents, and then being ruled over by demons and all of that stuff. You won't. You'll be what's called a drop-in, and you will drop into somebody else, another shape, another form, another frequency that was close on their journey. And then there are many books that where people are so awake to doing this that they've written about this, and they said, I have awakened to the fact that I was this person, and now I'm in this, but I know I was this other person. And they know details about this other person who no longer is with us, and they know details that the rest of the family are going, how could you possibly know that? You can't know the things that you know. I was that guy. I'm just telling you, I was that guy. But that's not on the New York Times bestsellers list. That's just the kook who's saying that. So but that's the truth. That's the truth. So when you do this work, you're rewarded. You will not go back to the beginning. You'll come back, you'll remember, and then you finish the journey. So the gifts of God are everywhere. They're built into every aspect of this journey. And every day that you do this, it's harder to fall. It is. It's harder to fall. But just sorry for that, Justin, but that's why they turned around and left, because they had to get the hell out of Dodge. If they wanted to remain magi, they needed to get back to the east and get out of the west. Because what is Herod? What is Herod? Herod is that lower bull. He's the lower bull, and he's going to trample you. And so they had to cover their tracks, because they had to obfuscate their tracks going back into the east, because they didn't want Herod following them anywhere. And that's what they're saying. That's what the allegory is saying, is that every time you cross over to the left-hand path again, beware, it's hard to get out.
Yeah, when that's why they draw on Herod killing all of the newborns under 2 years old, because that's what happens when we stay in that state, is our chrism oil, every time it dies, and it can't rise when we stay in that state. So that's what I saw there. And then one last thing with chapter 2 before we move on. So Joseph, when they were returning after Herod died, they were going to leave Egypt, which is the uncles, and return to Israel. But then he got that Archelaus, who is Herod's son, I suppose. Yeah, Herod's son, came to him and said that he shouldn't go to Israel, so he went to Galilee instead. So I just didn't know what the significance of that was. Because I know that has something to do with physiology. But
for sure, because where is Galilee again? Galilee is the circuit of the temple of the mind, the temple of the skull, instead of the body, the temple of the body. So it's symbolic. It's symbolic of there is, going through this process, there's an aspect to Herod that had to leave him, and it went to God. It went to Galilee. It rose to Capernaum in the crown. And that's what happens every time you do these demonic things. Every time you make another one of these knowingly demonic decisions within you, another part of your essence leaves Dodge, leaves you, and it ascends to the crown of Galilee, at the top of Galilee. and it's abandoning you. And so that's what I believe. I don't have, no one has ever told me that this is the case. This is just what I feel inside of me to be the truth, which is that when you've done that enough times, there's no consciousness left within you, because that's God. God is consciousness, and you can exercise yourself out of this game completely, because you can't play this game unless you're a child of God. You have, you can be 360 degrees and your tank is full, or you can have 1 degree and your tank is near empty. It's your choice. But when you do these evil acts, you're exercising all the goodness that's within you. And when it's gone, your well is dry. When your well is dry, there's no oil in your lamp, and the light goes out. When the light goes out, you don't regenerate. You're in the void forever. You're in the void. But that's not a punishment. You did that. You did that. And you know how hard you have to work? Again, folks, every time you're in your left brain and you get angry with someone because they ticked you off because, and you're just out of your ego, you have to work so hard. That's why people feel so tired after they argue or they fight or they worry about things. It's so tiresome to be in your left brain. It's not tiresome to be in your right brain. It's like what I demonstrated, because that's what I have to do. I have to do this work to show. I have to be the lighthouse. Not saying that I'm great or better than anyone else, not at all. I have to do this work to show you what the built-in rewards are. So when God needed me most in the year 2020, I didn't sleep. I of myself can do nothing. I of myself can do nothing. I don't know how I did that. But I share it with you, not for you to look at me and go, yeah, Charlie, so fantastic and so special. No, I don't know. But it happened. And it happened because I was in service to God. And the miracle, the rewards are built into the work. I don't know how I did that. Because every morning when the sun started to rise, instead of feeling deathly tired, I felt alive again. And you need to remember, every morning when my day starts again, the amount of work I have for the first 3 or 4 hours of the day is enormous work physically. It's enormous work physically where my body could have used the rest. But I got through it completely. And then I had the wisdom to know that come after September 22nd, I needed to slow that process, stop that process, and go back into the tomb and to let my body lick its wounds a little bit and heal itself by going back within. So, but these are the miracles when you take no thought of yourself, Justin.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah. Was there anything else from chapter 2 that stood out to you, Charlie, to cover? Otherwise, we can move on to chapter 3.
Oh, we can, the heart of this is 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we'll see how far we get today, but.
Yeah. So Marie, you want to take over for 3? Or do you want me to jump into that?
We're just doing John the Baptist.
Yeah, so just touching on John the Baptist and Charlie, I couldn't remember her true name, but I thought that'd be an important one to draw on and enlighten to people.
Yeah, and just quickly, because there are a few people in the chat are saying this. So Charlie, are you saying that the letter Y is the chalice of Christ, is the Holy Grail, is the cup of Christ? It absolutely is. That's the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is you when you do the work and your cup runneth over. That's the cup of Christ. That's the chalice. And remember, it all started humbly as the letter C, as a child facing to the east, longing for the Father and having little or no oil in the lamp. And that's the whole point. You have to transform the C into the Y. That's why there are so few words that are CY. But when you look at these words that start with CY, like chematica, they're very incredibly powerful words because it's the basis to the truth of everything, which is this frequency, right? You infuse a frequency into matter, and then things no longer matter, and the matter aligns up in miraculous patterns, miraculous shapes, and they gift you in miraculous feelings and emotions. So CY is this journey. CY it totally is XYZ. So in chapter
3, chapter 3, John the Baptist. I can pull it up if
yeah,
you'd like.
okay. So first off, again, this is a great exercise for us to just speak to this one more time. The whole world. There's no God, of course. We're just been blowing smoke up your skirts. It's all about aliens, and it's all about these lizard people that are incredible geneticists. And what they do is they like to eat the men, they like to rape the women, and what they're really good at is splicing the genes of the children, and that's the Anunnaki. So Anu means sun and the path of the sun, which is the solar year. So Anu is the father. And Naki is Enki. And it just comes all the way back. You just follow the line from Zoroaster all the way back into the Holy Land, from Ea, Ea, which is the goddess of water, which is this cleansing water that is the baptism. So you wash away all the lies, which is the mud of our feet constantly in contact with this left-hand path, the physical material plane, and we need to cleanse them. That's why Jesus symbolically is cleaning the feet, because but he's not doing it physically. He's doing it through his teachings, and his teachings are this cleansing force. And so this is the creation. So Ea, and then that is you go from Ea in Persia all the way to Egypt, and it's Enki. Anunnaki is Anu Enki. Enki is the mother. Anu is the father. It's the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang. But no. It's 18-foot, 6-ton reptiles that are interdimensional beings, and you've got no defense against them. God's a complete fucking idiot. He left us here with all of these, demonic reptilian space creatures that can just go right inside of us. They did it with the royal family, and I swear, you look at the queen, and you see her transforming into a, well, she pretty much is anyways, because she's pure left brain. So that's what you're seeing. But no, there's a firmament. You're protected. You're here to do one journey. Stop worrying, stop thinking, stop being fearful of the Anunnaki, and they're gonna, no, you exist. You're here to do a journey. Get on with it. Okay, no one's coming to take you away except for you, and that's you going into your left brain and thinking, where you worry, which is war, which is work. Worrying is work, and that's war with the K. K is the master number 11. Takes you out of your temple. And then you need to burn some inner sense. You need to burn some sweet cannabosum, God's favorite brand, the sweet cannabosum. And then when you burn the sweet cannabosum, it helps to put you back in the temple. That's inner sense. That's what incense is. It takes you out of the war with K, and it puts you back in alignment inside the K. See, 11, 11, 11, 11, that's K. That's the 11th letter of the alphabet. And when you're at war with the K, you're not here. When you're not here, you're not in the horizon. Isis, Ra, Horus, zone is the balanced cup of the balanced child. Horizon, bone to the covenant. There, the child cup of there is the cup. The
Charlie,
stem, which is your brain stem.
We're losing your voice.
How are we doing now? A little better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So yeah, so that's the war with K, and we just have to stop that, okay? And that's what this is all about. So in Matthew chapter 3, essentially, well, you know what? I'll let you ask me the questions. It's a very short chapter, but there is a theme here, and And it's very important. And oh, by the way, I think this is what Justin was hinting at here. So John the Baptist, the original spelling of John was Ioannis. Ioannis. I-O-N-N-I-O. Is it I-O-A? I think it's I-O-A. I-O-N-N-E-S or I-O-A-N-E-S-S. So I think it's I-O-N-N-E-S. Ioannis. Ioannis is Joanna. Is Joanna in our interpretation of it, in the Latin interpretation to Greek. And so John the Baptist is Johanna or Hosea. There are different variations of this beautiful, beautiful name. But the story got changed to masculinize this cleansing water of the mother. So Joanna the Baptist became John the Baptist. And the thing that's very, very important to note about John the Baptist is doing the work. He is a goodly, godly soul, and he's on this path, but he's only on the path. And John is constantly struggling and taking thought of his left brain. So that's why you copy these reminders and these examples of John the Baptist and the left-hand path. And so he explains this in chapter 3. This explanation of who John is and what he's there for is this cleansing of the feet, the cleansing of the healing waters, which is truth. So the waters of the mother, because the mother is truth, pure truth, and these waters cleanse the lies, which is the muddying of the feet. This is why symbolically the Pope was supposed to always, wash the feet of a poor man. And again, a poor man is a rich man. You see, it's all upside down, because a poor man has no possessions, no thought. A poor man holds on to no possessions, so he's rich. And so you wash his feet to his wisdom. You hope with gold and steeples and chapels and this, that, and around you. A poor man is a rich man. They just don't tell you that, but it's true. So that's the symbology of this. And that's why John the Baptist says and makes it so clear, I am not worthy to be the one who comes later and gives you the baptism of fire. I'm not. That's what he's saying. I'm awakened at a certain level. And that's what the truth community sort of is lined with, is people who can sort of wash your feet, but they can't get you any further. And the startling thing about the truth community is that most of them don't want to. They don't even want you to go any further, and they don't go any further. It's the most startling thing in the world, because all Colleen and I have done since we went on this journey is every day we get smarter. Every day we learn more. Every day we grow and we grow and we grow. So we keep asking ourselves, why doesn't David Icke do this? Why is David Icke the same guy with the same message as he was? We loved some of the shows that David Icke has done and connected with him. Love him for his question. Why didn't you change? Is it because you can't, because you won't? The feature of Colleen and I is to constantly change, is to constantly grow. David Icke, why aren't you growing? Alex Jones, why are you the same fucking clown every single fucking day of your life? Why don't you change? Why don't you get a new act? Why are you the same all the time? Is that the way men is? Or is that what they would like? Because there's a problem here. So John the Baptist is saying, I am not worthy of he who will come later. And by the way, who is he that will come later to give you the baptism of fire? Is Jesus Christ. And when John was cleansing the feet of Jesus, he's telling you this. He's saying this to you. And if you read it and you read it carefully, he's making that is this chosen one who is the one who will come later, because he is not worthy to do this process. And of course, yes, Jesus will, because he's the bridegroom. The 10 foolish, or the 10 virgins who visited upon the house of the bridegroom is knocking on the door of Jesus Christ, in the solar plexus, and asking if they can come in and connect with the seed. And of course, they're holding the oil, which is this fertilization of the seeds. Jesus is the seed, and then they can rise. And 5 have oodles of oil in their lamps. So even after they fall asleep, they got lots of oil in their lamp, and they are admitted in by the bridegroom. And the 5 foolish virgins have to go into the market and see at this time of night if someone will sell them, and the door is shut upon them, because you never know when the bridegroom will come and visit you, and you have to be ready. So how do you have to have oil in your lamp? And the thing is, if you're acidic, you can't have the chrism oil, will not last within you. It is pure. It is the most beautiful substance there is. It's pure alkalinity. If you're acidic, even one day of the month, you're going to kill that chrism oil. And that's, by the way, symbolically, that's you leaving Jesus on the cross. That's how little the average Christian cares about Jesus Christ. They don't want to know. They don't want to do better. They don't care. And they just leave Jesus hanging on the cross within them forever, because they don't want to do the work.
Yeah, well said. And I think that covers mostly for chapter 3 what I wanted to ask about. That's the gist of it. It's just you talked about the baptism of water and the baptism of fire, and how it's a process to work through. And we can't just be settled with that baptism of water, that first kind of awakening to the truth that there is a lot more out there. We have to always be striving for more. And part of that, the symbology around the baptism of fire, and what it says in here is, and now also the axe is laid unto the root of the trees. Therefore every tree which bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Because that's part of our spiritual growth, is we have to be willing to identify, and this is discussed later on in the book of Matthew, about the trees and determining how, whether they have good fruit or not. But we have to be willing to cast aside and cut down and throw into the fire all trees that do not grow good fruit. Because if we are surrounded by trees that are not growing good fruit, then we're gonna stay at that particular level. So that's what Charlie's mentioning with this, identifying those in our sphere of influence that are not doing the work, because they're ultimately going to be a limit. You're only going to get so far, and you're going to be stuck there. So just important to note. But that's about all I have on chapter 3. Marie, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on? You're muted.
I think that was perfect. I think that was a lot for a lot of people to remember, that there have been changes. And so even the names have been changes. Jesus, was Jeshua, right? And then John was Joanna or Ionis, or it's just so beautiful to come back to it. So yeah, I think we're ready to keep going. Thank you for going there.
Yeah.
So, and then chapter 4, this is so important because this is Jesus in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and the temptation by the devil, where Jesus was alone, severed from the Father, and then so he was being tempted and he was being tested in this moment. And so this is all the ego. This is how the ego works. This is you talk about science and you talk about psychotherapy. This is psychotherapy 101 is chapter 4. You need to know this. You need to know this because this is what's happening inside of you. And guess what? It happens every day, and it never stops, and it never will. This is what's happening inside of you. It doesn't stop until you cast your net to the right. This is what you're dealing with every day is chapter 4. So you guys go ahead and, ask whatever message, because this is very, very key. It's telling you everything.
It's telling you everything. Well, and I feel that's very true, that we are going through this every day. It's like how just kind of sometimes it can feel like being squeezed out. The part that I really loved is the last sentence here, 4:11, that says, "Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him."
Yes.
Like that for me is like, no matter what happens, no matter what happens, like the light is going to come and minister you back to life. Is that how you see that, or is there something we're missing?
No, that's exactly it. The moment you say no, and you mean it with authority, and you say no, then the angels rush in. Because what are angels? They're angles of light. The moment you say no to the devil, your crown opens a bit more, and then more angles are coming in. Remember, the whole goal is to become 360 degrees, right? Because then you are the king of all you survey. The only way to do this and win this game and complete this journey is to ascend up to the North Pole. This again, this is your North Pole. This is why Santa Claus is at work. Al the chemist is at work 24/7, 365 at the North Pole. And that's where you become the king of all you survey, because you're standing upon the mount, which is a metallic mount of metal, which is magnetically charged, which is pulsating out. You see, this is the lighthouse. Get it? This is the lighthouse that shines upon the rocky shores. You see, you are the eye of the hurricane, and everyone out there is upon the shores of the eye, and they're like, help us, help me, help me, help me. And that's how we help them, is to rise to the top of Meru, and then we pulsate out this light, this eternal light, which is an inner light that emerges outward. And that's what you have to become, your purpose in life. See, we don't have to become and do everything that Jesus did. He went first. That's why he's our Lord, and he's our salvation. He's our savior, because he came first and he showed us the way. And that's what we have to do. We just have to follow his path and be of him, which is casting thy net to the right, taking no thought. Just listen, like that podcast, like Justin said, just listen to what I did in that podcast. 26 passages from A to Z within the Bible, the words of Jesus. And what does he say? He's telling you exactly what to do. When you do that, then you are of the path of Jesus Christ, and you are of that line, and you are above the apostles, and you are connected. So remember, the apostles are above the masses because they have 30 degrees. That's why there's 12 of them, because each one of them has 30 angles of light. That's pretty darn good, but it only gets them so far. What does Peter say to Jesus upon the eve of the crucifixion or of the betrayal? And Peter says, "Father, I would never ever leave you. Lord, I would never ever leave you. I would never abandon you." And he says, as sure as the cock will crow this evening, you will deny me 3 times. Yep. Wasn't that the same Peter that said, "Jesus, hey, hang on for a sec. I want to walk on the water too. Come on, let's do it. Come on, get out here and let's do this." Wow, I can't do this. Help, help. Ye of little faith. Ye of little faith. You were doing it and then you stopped doing it. The perfect allegory. We start to do the work and we stop doing it because we're distracted. Peter was distracted because I can't walk on the water. Gilligan is flying up amongst the palm leaves, and Skipper says, "Gilligan, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm flying." And Skipper goes, "Gilligan, you can't fly." "I can't?" And he'd just been flying for 20 seconds, and then he crashed to the ground because he believed, which is a lie. No is the truth. Knowing is power. Knowing you are a magi from the east. Okay?
Wow.
When you're not in knowing, you're a believer, and that is built upon a lie. You be living in the lie, my friends, when you believe you know nothing. You know nothing, and you will receive nothing, because that is the righteous, just reward for knowing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. And so yeah, to kind of summarize, so Jesus went through and had his baptism of water, and then had his battle with his ego and told his ego to fuck off, which is what we all have to do in order to get to that point. And then he was ready to start speaking the truth, and that's what we that's what we're getting into next. And I love the verse. Wait, it's important to draw on this every time it pops up, but verse 17. From that time, Jesus began to preach and to say, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." Because it's not anywhere else; it's right here, and we get to hop into that whenever we choose, But it's a choice. So yeah, I just wanted to draw on that one.
Beautiful,
And
beautiful, Justin. So like Justin so poetically said, he told the ego to F off. That's so perfect. And by the way, again, all these numbers mean something. So Marie picked up and she said in 11 within the temples, then the devil leaved him, and behold, the angels came and ministered unto him. 11. And then 12, which is the completion of your house. Now, Jesus had heard that John was cast into prison. He departed into Galilee. Galilee is this. Just look at the map of the Holy Land. Galilee is the circuit of the skull. This is the higher mind, the temple of the higher mind. And then this is the Jordan River. And then this is the temple of the physical, the material plane, which is the body. Temple of the body, temple of the mind. Galilee is the temple of the mind, and the Jordan River down to the sacrum, or the Dead Sea, where you're dead if you're living down there. So you're going to die at 55. That is the physical. That is the temple of the physical realm. So in 12, he heard that John, who had helped him upon his journey, was in prison. So he departed into his higher mind and leave Nazareth. Now remember, with Nazareth, it's not a place. And even within the Bible, it is explained that it is more of an expression of those who are Nazarenes. That Nazareth are those who are Nazarenes. And Nazarenes is a state of mind. And that's why Nazareth, when they physicalized it, literalized it, was way up in the north near Capernaum, which is right at the crown of Galilee. And then, the symbology of Zabulon and Naphtali, again, the sons of man, basically, Cain and Abel, righteous and non-righteous. So and that is 13, which is the embodiment of Jesus Christ. So leaving this higher place, he came and dwelt upon the top of the temple, which is Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast connecting to the mother, on the borders of right and wrong, good and evil. And that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, and then this is where he's going to tie John the Baptist into Isaiah, the land of Zabulon and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people which stay in the darkness saw great light, and to them which was in the region and shadow of death, the light is sprung up. So again, this is out of the darkness comes the miracle. Out of the darkness comes the eucatastrophe. So you have to get high, which is deeply within the skull. So there's no light in there. It's filled with darkness until you become the light of the world. Then it's filled with light. Until such time, it sits in darkness. So you just see this, that that after being tempted by the devil and hearing that his friend John was cast into prison, what did Jesus do? And of course, that's symbolized in verse 13, which is the essence of Jesus, is that instead of going into a fit of rage or anger or retribution against those who would put John in prison, he left his high place and went even higher to the crown, which is upon the seacoast of the mother, with good and evil on either side. So you see, he sat above good and evil, right? In that singularity above, the higher mind. He connected to God. This is meditation. And then he remembered, the speaking or the phrase of the prophet, and that only by going within, only by staying upon high, in Galilee, then they are the ones in darkness that will see the great light, and that their region in the shadow of death, light is sprung up out of the darkness. And that's how this all works. And so from that time, Jesus began to preach and say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, which is 17. And it's just, so you see how the numerology works in every single book and every single chapter and verse. These numbers are very, very powerfully meaningful and connected in every moment. That's what the truth is. And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. So what is a fisher? They're casting their net into the sea. They're desperate, hoping for wisdom. They want to catch with their nets wisdom. So they are of Pisces. And that's why, there's the two of them, the two brothers, Pisces. And he saith unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men, right? Not humans, not slaves, but of men. I will make you fishers of men. And straightway left their nets and followed him. So you see the significance of this, and straightway. So you see how the symbology is in everything, right? Straightway is the straight and narrow way. They left their nets and followed him. Left, straight way. What's the only thing left? Right way. You don't even have to say it, because it's straight way, left their nets and followed him, which is to the right. So it's beautiful. It's genius. It's just telling you this parable about how you have to go high within yourself. And just to there was another point I was going to make at the end here. In 22, and they immediately left the ship and their father and followed him. What's 22? The second of the masters, right? The mother. And so they had the strength of the mother in that moment to leave the ship and their father and followed him. So again, this is now they have the courage to be like Jacob and to cross that river. And that's at 22. What happened at 11? Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. So 11, he was healed of all of the torture of having to deal with the left brain. And then in 22, the mother gives him the strength to leave all the physical possessions behind and follow him. And Jesus went about all Galilee, the circuit of the circuit court, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. And his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatics. Oh my gosh, this is brilliant. And those that had
palsy.
Yes, and that's right. And he healed them. And there followed him great multitudes of people from Galilee and from uh, Decapolis and from
Jerusalem
yeah,
and Judah.
Jerusalem is the ancient spelling, and from Judea and from beyond the Jordan. And so basically, what you're seeing is that this healing that is being talked about here in the showing is that Jesus was, and we know that because of what the story shows coming upon the two brothers, is showing that the straightway they left their nets, and obviously they went to the right. And then after doing that, everything that follows is that Jesus is a healer of what? Everything of disease, which is the unbalance. So balance comes from casting thy net to the right and following him to the right. The bridegroom that leads to the chamber of the bridegroom has oil in the lamp. And so that's the significance of this passage, is that Jesus is healing is going to the right. So what I wanted to show you is that his virtue is what's healing. He was the light of the world, and everywhere he went, he healed. And so, everybody puts so much onus upon Jesus, the healer of physical pain and physical suffering. No, Jesus was a healer from within, and he healed a whole other world that they were not aware of. And then the miracle occurred. Then their arthritis went away. Then their leprosy went away. Then their blindness went away. But you can only heal that if you change your frequency. So excited about the song coming up on Sunday night by Al Stewart. Al Stewart never wrote a song. All those songs he wrote that are based on history are just allegories. The Lonely Palace of Versailles. You are the lonely palace of Versailles because you choose to live here. Cast thy net to the right and you have everything. So a song on the radio is you have to change your frequency. That's what Jesus was. He was a changer of frequencies. People threw themselves at his feet. Why? Because they couldn't help themselves. Why? Because they were attracted to him. Why? Because he was the North Pole, because he existed from the North Pole, because he was a magnet, and he drew to him those that needed him, and he repulsed from him those that did not need him. You have to become magnetic. You have to become the light of this world. And magnetic light is photon light. That's the light in here. It's not the light out there. There's nothing wrong with the light out there, but it's not the way. The way is not out there. It's in there. And that's the first thing that the devil did, is to trick you with this Luciferian agenda of saying, that's God. That's the light that you must become. It's out there. It's on this other place, 93 million miles away. And speed of light, 186,400, miles per hour travels or whatever. Isn't that the number of people in the tribe of Judah in the east? 186,400, 100,000, fourscore thousand, which is 80,000, and 6, and then 4, and then 400, 186,400. There's no such thing as the speed of light. They're lying to you. But it's just what I'm trying to say to you is that when they created this lie that the sun is 93 million miles away, so therefore there has to be speed of light. It has to be really fast because we feel it and stuff like that. When they were coming up with, what number are we going to come up with? What number are we going to come up with to tell them that the light moves at this incredible, speed, which is 186,000 miles per second, is the speed of which light moves itself from the sun to us. It's the number of the people who cast their net to the right in the tribe of Judah, 186,400. I mean, holy. They're just taking the Bible and they're putting the truth in plain sight, and we don't see it. That's all. There's no speed of light. It's instantaneous. The sun is upon us. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Where do you think the sun is? It's at hand. It's right here. It's right here. It's absolutely right here. It's not 93 million miles away. They're lying to you. And if you let them, they will continue. It's that simple.
Oh my gosh, I love this cat. The sun is right out my window. I just want to say one thing that I think is really important, and I'm certainly going to take, and I think a lot of us here will remember that Jesus healed from his frequency, and that it wasn't that he healed the physical, he healed the mental. And when he healed the mental, then the physical followed. Right. And then that's what we're learning, is that the healing needs to happen in the way that we cast our net, and what thoughts we take to value and so forth. Because I think that's, and going through her healing journey myself, I can see that the closer I get, the more the corrections are happening actually in between my ears. And the more I get into the frequency of God and the peace of God, that heals everything. Then everything else goes away, because it can't fit into that, because it's not even in and of itself real. Only God is real. Like that love, that frequency, that God frequency is it's so potent and powerful. It's immediate. That's what you're speaking to. It's the light of God. It's like right now. It's not really far away. And I think that a lot of people, when they read this material, they think that it's about worshiping God or worshiping Jesus. Wow, he was so amazing. He could do all this amazing stuff, but it wasn't about that. It was like, look, this is what we're doing. Everybody switch on your lights, right? Switch on your lights, and then it's done. Then God does it for you. But our issue is that we've been trained to think that we have to do it ourselves, and that God's really far away, and that we have so much work to do to get back to God. And none of us want to do that work. So we're just going to eat and drink and buy time and show up on Sunday and pay our 10% and think that that's enough. And because it's like they made the work 93 million miles away, when actually it was as close to us as taking 3 really deep, potent breaths, clearing out the acidic foods, and stop. There's so much communication right now in so many circles around frequency, and the money frequency. That too has been like driving me cuckoo right now, because it's like, oh, well, you're just not at the right frequency to make money. And it's like, no, the frequency is beyond money. The frequency isn't about the paper. That's false, and I think that a lot of us are confused about frequency. And so I just wanted to put a hint of light on how the healing occurred. And the healing occurred by Christ's frequency, his alignment to God. Did I get that?
Perfect. Exactly perfect. And we're going to go over to in just a sec. Let me interject this again. Jesus says in the Bible, keep your children close to me. Keep your children close to me. Why do I teach that the children will lead the way? Why do I say that? Why? Because the children count sheep. That may sound like a completely nonsensical non sequitur to you. It means everything. It absolutely is at the heart of the matter. Children count sheep. What that means is they take not thought for themselves. They fill themselves up with the light of God. And that's why they are the way they are. That defines a child, because they're just in love with the mother. They're in love with the adventures that God provides for them. And they're never in trouble until we get them into trouble. And then, we set up play dates with other friends, that they don't even know. And then we force them into rooms. And then they have to play with Lego toys instead of being allowed to go into the dirt and the muck outside with, 2 sticks and a cardboard box. And they make a palace, in the desert. And they're 2 princes in the desert, and they're seeking riches and treasures. And it's just, wow. Take their imagination away. Imagination is the magic through the eye, through the single eye, which is our children, because they count sheep. We have to get back to counting sheep. Counting sheep, take no thought for your life. The children will lead the way because they know the way. We used to know the way. They know the way. And that way is to play. Just trust and play. And we don't even allow them to do that. And we haven't even created a world where they're allowed to do that. Parents are terrified if their children went into their front yards and played alone in their front yards, that they're going to be taken away by demons and they'll never see their kids away. What have we done? What have we done? It's dangerous for kids to go outside their own yard and play. We've got this on, and we have to get this right. We have to get this right. And that's why we don't these demons. We forgive ourselves for allowing demons to rule over us, and then we get busy doing the work. And if forgiveness for them comes later at some other date as a byproduct of connecting to God, then it does. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a man. Jesus, what is your name? A man. Why? Because I went to Egypt and came back again. And that's all I've done. I went to Egypt and I got the hell out of Dodge. And I'm somebody who just cast their net to the right. That's it. Doesn't make me better than anybody else, but at least I am keeping the truth and the spirit and the sacrifices of Jesus Christ alive. I am in every moment exalting that Jesus Christ, of course, was and is absolutely real, and that this is whom we need to connect to, because he is our Lord. He is our Savior, because he went first and he did the work. He showed us the way. And that's why Jesus, the name is not me. Name is not me. It's the way. Then your name is the way. Look at your name, Marie, just in. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Justin, your parents got it exactly right, because in that moment they were divined by God to call you Justin. Or if you took that moniker for yourself, it's a perfect moniker for you, Justin. And Marie, it's perfect, freaking perfect name for you. And just like Colleen Marie, and Colleen's last family last name started with K. CMK. The child through the mother to the father, right?
Wow.
Three to the mother, which is M, which is, the middle letter, which is the 22. 3 to the 22 to the 11. Wow. These, all of you are perfect. You just have to get back to the perfect path to be perfect. Stop being the fallen man. That's just because you're on the wrong path. That's all. Our kids aren't safe to play in the yard. Come on. We're doing something desperately wrong. And so we have to do what's right. Okay. And what's right is forgive ourselves first for falling asleep, fast asleep. And remember, I am as guilty as everybody else. I had 3 university degrees. That doesn't say that I was smart. It says what an idiot, complete idiot I was. And I had to work harder to get rid of more shit.
If I can just chime in and give a real live example, and then I'll pass it back real quick too, just about that frequency and what you just shared about getting rid of the shit. It's like, and the children, when we, like yesterday I was with my son for a little while, and I noticed how distracted I was, how my frequency was caught up in thoughts that were lower frequency. And so I could see that reflected in him, because he knew I wasn't fully present. And it broke my heart to the point where I needed to do my work. And so I fasted the rest of the day. I really went inward that night. I prayed, I journaled, I cleared all of the heaviness. And part of it was really sharing. And so I would encourage anybody to share. Like, I put some stuff out on social media. If that's not what you're up to, write it in your journal, but express yourself and share where you've missed the mark. I think that sometimes, just like what Charlie just said, like, doesn't make me smart, but sharing where you can see now that you've made an error is part of the correction, because you're not a victim to that anymore. You're not ashamed of it. You're calling it out of the shadows. That's when the angels can come and minister to you, because you've released it. You went through the fire. You owned your stuff. And for me, it was just looking in the eyes of my child and realizing, like, I need to do so much better for him right now. Like, I cannot be brought down by the cares of this world and all of the insanity it's been imposing on me. And that's what this journey is. And I think that's very much what the Bible is teaching us, and what Jesus guided us, and what Jesus showed us exactly how to do. Like, you heal your frequency. You've been lowered, you've been dominated, you've been manipulated. All of that is true. You can be angry about it. You should be angry about it, at least a little bit, and move through that. And it's not about forgiving them, just like you said, Charlie, it's about forgiving me. It's about forgiving myself for allowing that to happen and not continuing to carry the guilt and the blame, giving that back to whence it came. It came from that system. I'm giving it back to that system and I'm out. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, just on that specifically, the more that we can be vulnerable and share in that kind of sense, I see it as a way that we're sort of like cleaning our mirror and we're giving a cleaner mirror for others to see around us. And so, given that we are all light and we're shining our light, the more that we can clean our mirrors and be vulnerable and share our story, we're able to provide that mirror for others, give that refraction point for that light of others to bounce off of to see their own light so that they know how to go and brighten their own lights even more so. And it just compounds from there. So the more that we can step into our authenticity and be vulnerable and share where we are and where we are in our path and what we're going through, and as long as we're aligned with righteousness and doing the work, it's only going to increase that brightness. It's only going to get us there faster. So just I really saw that, wanted to share that. And then going back to Jesus as a healer, and I think it's really important in this time period, especially where we see our brothers and sisters who desperately need healing of some degree or another. Um, so it's important to realize that no one who came to Jesus, Jesus didn't go out and find people that needed healing. He wasn't trying to force his healing onto others. They were drawn to him because they made that choice that said, I want to be healed. I see what he's got. I see what he's doing. I'm drawn to that, but I'm also making that choice. And so within this time period, as we see our brothers and sisters out there that are lost, because Jesus is the truth, the light, and the way. And as we are out there talking and speaking truth with others, if we are not doing the work, if we are not embodying that, because that's what Jesus did, he embodied it. He was being the truth. He wasn't like just giving it away because he knew it was right. He was being it. And so they were drawn to it. And that's what allowed that healing um, to fully manifest within that. And so we can't expect to really truly heal anyone, if we're not doing the work, if we're not actually embodying that truth. If we're just speaking that truth, that's not real. That's not real. We have to actually embody it. And two, if those around us are not making that choice to receive that healing. So both of those things have to be fully in alignment before that healing actually takes place, because it can't be forced, and it can't be done if I'm not making that choice initially, and if they're not making that choice as well. So I just wanted to say that because it's really important to remember.
Build it, and he will come. Build it, and he will come. You do the work, and the rewards are built into the work you do. You want magnetic rewards. You do not want electrical rewards. You can have them if you wish, but and they're beautifully divine, but they are an equal measure of the work that you do. If you do electrical work, you'll get electrical rewards. What is electricity? It is a transverse wave. What's the first thing you should know about a transverse wave? It's temporary. It's temporary. It comes and it goes. It dies. Now, it doesn't die. It's a wave on the ocean. So it just needs the breath of God back into it, and it starts again. But do you really want to do that? Or do you want to stay upon the white shores? Why do you want to leave? If you rush into God at your death, this is what everybody talks about. They have that aha moment upon their deathbed. That's you and the remaining essence of you breaking upon the white sandy shores of the Father, which is pureness and divinity, and walk upon them with the last ounce of breath of life, golden life within, and then full moment transition. Why do you want to wait 60 years with a whole new set of circumstances again and do it all over again, to wait 60 years to be able to have that moment? Or would you not want that moment of washing into the Father to stay forever? Why does it have to end? It's not ordained that it should end. Only a demon would teach something like that. Only demons would tell you that that's the case. You live forever with the Father when your work is in alignment with his work. And his work is everything that you see that is natural around you. It's not rocket science. It's so simple. And besides, common sense, intuition, they're all connected within you. The silver cord, from your gut instinct, the solar plexus, to the golden bell that rings, you get those gut feelings, you know what's going on. And so everything that Marie just said was so beautiful, and Justin just said is so beautiful. You guys just did chapter 5. So chapter 5 in the book of Matthew. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him. Do you know what this means? Do you know what these words really mean? This is the truth in plain sight. Okay, it's a simple sentence, but do you know what your words mean? Etymology, do you know? It says, and seeing the multitude, seeing the many, Jesus went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him. Okay, so do you know? So it said into a mountain. Okay, so in a mountain, you enter into a cave. Okay, so that's meditation. And then he stayed there until he was set. Do you know what set literally means? To be in balance. You set yourself. That's what reset is to reset yourself into balance. You have to become the light of the world. Jesus saw the multitudes and said, I can't help them. Of myself, I can't do anything. Why does he say this? John 5:30 and then John 14. I forget the other passage, but 14:12. I of myself can do nothing, and you will do greater things than I. Why does Jesus say these things? I of myself can do nothing. That's right. Jesus saw the multitudes, and it meant he wanted to help them. But what he did first is he went high into a mountain, which is a cave, which is the third ventricle, and he stayed there until he was set. Set means balance, is the resetting of another day, is the balancing of another day. Sunrise, sunset, to complete this duality into a sacred completion, into a unified construction. So himself in alignment to help the multitudes. So why does Jesus say, I of myself can do nothing? Because we can't. Without the Father, all the Christians, they've squeezed God this, and they're just saying that Jesus is now God, and that there's no God. It was Jesus all along, and Jesus. Father, mother, child. The child returning home, connecting to the Father, is divine. And that's how you heal people, when you're in a divine state. So Jesus went high and in and set till he was balanced, and then he set upon healing people. Now, what does it say? What does it say? And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, which is an allegory for he opened his mouth and the truth flew out of him, right? It's people, when I was doing the radio show, people were saying that it was like for 2 hours, Charlie was just like in this free flow of consciousness. And that's kind of how it was. I was just not me really thinking. These things were just coming through me. And that's what's being said here. And then Jesus, in balance, opened his mouth and taught them, saying, because it flowed out of him. What did he say? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure of the heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And then 11, blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. 12, the completion of the house. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad. What's glad? The G lad, the God lad, the God man. G lad, glad. But if salt have lost its flavor, its savor, wherewith shall it be salted. It is thenceforth good for nothing but be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. City that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before them that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is art in heaven. Think not that I am come to destroy the law of the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill, filling to the full, to the top. Cup runneth over. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one iota or one title shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, which is an act of doing, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Holy shit. There you want the truth of truth, you want the light of light, you want the wisdom of wisdom. That's it right there. Holy cow. It just told you everything right there. That's why I say this book is the pinnacle of creation. It is. It is. That is breathtaking. And no matter how many times I read that, I can't help but have goosebumps and tingles and be lifted again by reading that, because it is the light of this world. Those words are the light of this world.
So beautiful.
Yeah, and I love how speaking of the commandments, it refers to them these least commandments because there's so few of them. It's so simple. It's so easy. Everyone knows what's right and wrong. Everyone knows this. We don't need lawyers. We don't need legalese. We don't need all of this bullshit system that just convolutes it and obfuscates everything and makes everything complicated. We don't need that. Everyone knows right from wrong. Just do that. Just do that, and everything works. It's so simple. And so he gets into them later, like he goes over them again. But I mean, the commandments are very simple. It's just like, just don't be an asshole to people. Like, just be good to people. Just be good to others. Like, just be good. And we know this. Everyone knows this in their heart. Like, everyone knows the difference between right and wrong. It's so simple.
Totally. I like that it's really encouraging us to be better than the scribes and Pharisees, because I think a lot of us are afraid of the scribes and Pharisees of our day. And I know that I'm certainly growing out of that now, because they're so loud and powerful and bossy and manipulative and controlling, and they seem to have the power in our reality. And he's in here inviting us to, like, you've got to actually rise above that. Like, you have to know who you are on a level that's not you can't be infiltrated with that. Like, that's the armor of God, and that's like pulling out. It's like, look, I'm better than you and all your rules and all your laws and all of you're right, I messed it all up and all the things, but nobody can win at the game because it's not set up for that. It's set up for you to suffer and for you to fail. And so it's really powerful. Ye are the light of, like, you are the light of the world, not the scribes and the Pharisees. And we've given all of these people so much of our power.
How does a Christian in a church get past this book? How do they get past 5:20? How do they get past that and go, we're in the wrong place? We're in the wrong place. Doesn't it just say that you will in no way get to or know the kingdom of heaven if your understanding of the Bible is no greater than that of the Pharisees and the scribes of the church? I'm sorry, but how do you let that linger? Because you comply. And when you comply, you are the absence You are the absinthe of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ walked on the water. Why? Because he could not be ruled over. He ruled over. He was as king because he asked the questions. Because he was the king of all, he surveyed. So asking the questions means you never comply. You're the one asking the questions. So how come you're not wearing your mask? How are you feeling today? Are you having a good day today? Would you like to share with me any difficulties or troubles you're having in your life? Because I'm here to help.
I love that.
Ask yourselves, would Jesus Christ put on a mask? And people say that they have to do so because of this, that, or the other thing. This is the lack of faith, because there are things that, and there are demons, and they know, and you need access to this, that, or the other thing. I get this, but here's where you're lacking. You don't trust that God will create a miracle for you. You do not trust that in that moment when you say, I'm not going into that store, I do need this, but I am not going to do this. I will not defile the temple that is Jesus Christ within me. I will not do this. You don't think that Jesus and God and Mary and Santa within you won't come up with a miracle for you on your way home or the next day? Trust, trust, trust in God. Do not consent. Wait for the miracles. Why do you not experience miracles in your life? Because you never allow them to happen. You never wait. What is patience? It is a virtue. Did you hear what that literally means? It means to be patient is being virtuous. That's the receiving of miracles. But you will have no truck with miracles because you have no patience. You will not wait for God. You've got a time schedule. God has no time. There's no such thing as time, but you got a time schedule. And if God doesn't give this miracle to you this way, in this moment, then I'm done with you, God. I'm not. Wow, what a irrational thing to say or to do. Left brain, left brain, left brain. Cast thy net to the right. Take no thought. Children shall lead the way because they count sheep. You have to count sheep. Sheep are the thoughts, virtuous thoughts of God that come to you when you take no thought. Remember, you do have to be able to drive your car. You absolutely do. If you're taking your kids to school, and you know, you shouldn't be taking your kids to school, by the way, but if you are and you have to get there, there's a certain amount of thinking that is necessary. Let God do it. Yeah. You'll find that the traffic lights will all be in your favor when you follow God. When you try to do it yourself and you speed up, oh, it just turned yellow. Missed it. Now I got to sit here for this entire time. What am I going to do? And no, there's not a good song on there. Every single channel, it's just the same crowd. Oh, I hate it. Okay, now I'm going to get going. I'm going to speed up and I got a ticket. Oh, I hate, makes me so angry.
Well, it's like, you know, Jesus and Mary in Bethlehem, like they were listening to the guidance. They knew where to go. They were being guided. They were gently being guided on where to go and where to stay and who was going to come and all of those things. Those are miracles. Those are miracles, and they occur naturally as expressions of faith and love and trust that you're supported. You don't have to manipulate all of it. You don't have to think about all of it. These are big ones for me too. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying I mastered them, but I'm definitely willing to practice and play it out every opportunity that I have. And there's an abundant amount of opportunities every day. Every day is filled with opportunities to choose love and
to experience the miracles, right? And Marie, you know, I won't say what it is, but Marie experienced a powerful 45 miracle in her life. Why? I know exactly why. But one, because she's righteous and worthy of it, but because she chose to have, she had a leap of faith in her life, and she had a 45 miracle in her life. She did.
It was beautiful, and so many more are occurring. The more I step into, I'm not at the effect of the scribes and the Pharisees. I keep doing that, and then more miracles occur, and that's magnetism. That's what we're teaching. That's what Charlie's been demonstrating and showing us, that like it really does happen that way. But you have to do your part in it. I think that's the part that many of us have missed over the years. We thought we were doing it. We thought we were doing it means you're not. And that's it's like, it's a feeling, it's an energy, it's a surrendering, it's a knowing, it's a vibe, it's a peace, it's a frequency. 45 miracles.
Absolutely. Now, there's a little story that I want to share, but I want to do it at the end of the show. Justin, do we feel like the pinnacle, which is this next chapter, do we want to start the next show with this, or do you want to go through?
Well, I think we'd probably be able to do it more justice starting the next show, going through it. I'm open to keep going. I mean, I'm down to keep going for another few hours if y'all want to, but I do understand that we've hit the 3 hour mark. So what do y'all think? What are
Yeah,
y'all feeling?
just with the animals for me, and
Yeah.
it's only light to a certain point, so there are physical things I have to do. But
So let's finish chapter 5. Let's finish chapter 5 fully, and you can share your story, and then we can start next show with chapter 6 and start with a bang. So yeah, with finishing chapter 5, or Charlie, did you have a story you want to share first, or do you want to keep going over?
I'll do that at the end. But yeah, this is really, really key. And Marie was asking a lot of questions about what comes next in chapter 5. So I think it would be best if the two of you, if you wanted to read some of it or all of it, and then share questions, that would be great, versus than me doing it. Because it's very important that you understand what's being said here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, Marie, do you want to take the next bit?
So ye've heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whoever shall kill shall be in danger of judgment. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say this to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come over to thy gift. Come and offer thy gift. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whiles thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. That's all mouthful. There's a lot there. Do you want to go to the next paragraph or keep going?
If you want, I can just sort of wade into that section here. So again, what you just said is that this is left brain, right brain, and thou. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out until thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. That's the tithing. That's the 10%. You have to let go of your left brain, and that's exactly what Jesus is saying prior to this. So agree with thy adversary quickly, because when you drop into arguments with people that are just left brain carnal thinkers, monsters of this left-hand way, left-hand path, you will not change them. You will not change them at all. They will change you. So agree with thine adversary quickly, to get yourself out of the way of harm. And the harm is judgment against you. And remember, it's you and the judgment that you will apply against you. And you will then be cast into a prison, which is being ruled over by your ego in the left hemisphere of the brain. So instead of seeing your brother capable of hurting you, you realize that there is no need for Raka or Rachel or revenge. No, 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 no. You live within. The out there is what it is, but the in there is the way. And there is no room, there's no necessity, it's perfection. So when you experience this drama of the left brain world, agree with it quickly and move about your way. There's no room for Rachel or Raka upon the altar. No, 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 no. Leave there thy gift in silence before the altar. Go thy way, and to be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. So what again is always being said, get out of Dodge quickly. When you have an experience that is carnal of the left brain, get out of there quickly. Agree, whatever, you're not going to change them. You're not going to change them. It's not your job to change them. What did we just divine in the first 3 hours of the show today? That Jesus healed people, that Jesus enlightened people when they came to him, not him coming to them, right? That's the same for us. It's the same for us. So when we fall into the pit or the trap of the carnal world, just get out of there quickly. Just get out of there quickly. That's what's being said. And the getting out of there quickly is, once again, saying, I'm not allowing my left brain to rule. And that's your 10% tithing. That is the farthing that you must pay. And that is what you paid. You just said, I'm not going to get into an argument. I'm not going to get into a fight. I'm getting out of here. You just paid 10%. You did it.
I love that. That's huge.
It is.
That's huge, especially for our community right now. And that's in the end, Charlie, I'm not sending the letter. I'm just not speaking anymore. I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. I'm like, I know where I'm at with this. I'm out. And that feels like the right move. I think that was a process of me, getting it out, but that's just it. I want to give up that 10%. That's huge. So there's a lot of people out there trying to convince everybody that they're right. But if you know you're right, then you don't have, you're just done.
Right? Be right. Just be right. Being right is the light. If you're being right, which is an action, if you're being right, then you are the light of this world. Just be right. You don't have to be right in everything. Just be right. Just go to the right. Do the action of being right, which is righteous, and then you are the light of the world. I mean, it's literally that simple. And we stop there because look at this next line. This is so massively misunderstood. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. He's not talking about a lustful. I mean, that is an example of it. And so it works. But everybody grabs onto that is that this is the literal definition and the literal meaning. No, no, no. Adultery is mixing your thoughts. Count sheep. That's all you need to do. Don't think. Let God think and count sheep. Be a child. Do not be Dan of the North, the viper, waiting to argue with everyone on talking points, being another talking head. No, 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 no. That's adultery. Adultery is taking thought of your left brain. And so when you look upon a woman means emotion. When you look upon others through emotion and you lust after some emotional interaction or conflict with anyone else, you've already committed adultery with her, which is we have to be together to get her. So you've committed adultery to the mother who is the truth, living in the moment to connect to God in the moment. You have betrayed the mother and you're betraying the father, and you've committed adultery by taking emotional thought, which is the sin. This is the sin that we do, which is falling into the left brain. So this is not talk. I mean, obviously, when when we have agreed to a commitment, then we need to the best of our ability, commit to that commitment. So if that is a relationship with a partner, then you should treat it with sacred reverence. And if your partner treats it with sacred reverence, that will be the experience that you get from it. So that's beautiful. But allegorically, what is being said is that adultery is when you take thought of yourself from the left brain, and you are betraying the mother and you are betraying the father with a woman, and this sexual desire is just the temptation of your emotions, and you're allowing the moon goddess. And what is she called? The moon goddess who rules over our emotions, she's called sin. That's why she's called sin. Because when you live in your emotions, then you are going to be sinful and you will be cast out of the kingdom of heaven. Think of Star Trek again. Think of Spock and Data. Two different examples, two different ways of powerfully showing what needs to happen here, okay? It's not perfect, but they both became these expressions of perfectness over time. Spock was a work in progress on Star Trek, but he knew the way. He knew the way. Spock knew that to be ruled by our emotions was abhorrent, as anything. It was the worst sin that a Vulcan could take, was to become emotional. And that's because it truly is the sin, because it leads us to act out of the ego and not of God.
Wow.
Data is an android who wants to become human. So again, both Spock and Data are this example of being in the right hemisphere of the brain, learning to master the left. We are all the left hemisphere of the brain, denying that the right even exists. So for example, why does Dr. McCoy always have at it? Why did Roddenberry create that relationship? Why does Dr. McCoy always have at it with Spock? They always against one another, always, fighting. There's something about Spock that always gets the better of Dr. McCoy, because Dr. McCoy is emotion, right? Dr. McCoy is the left brain. Captain Kirk is the captain of the starship Enterprise. You get the prize by entering within. Captain Kirk is supposed to become the light of the world. He's supposed to be Jesus Christ. He's supposed to become the light of the world. Spock is the right hemisphere of the brain, the pineal gland, and Dr. McCoy is the left hemisphere of the brain, and he's the pituitary gland. So that's why they fight like oil and water, because they're two different worlds. They're on either side of the divide. And it's up to Captain Kirk to maintain the balance between the two. That's why those three are one. They're like family. Those three are like family, and they would do anything ultimately for one another, because the three becomes one. And that's what we need to do, is balance. And so the only way that Captain Kirk can balance this misalignment between Spock and McCoy is to become the light of the world. When he falls, they fall. When he's righteous, they rise. They both rise. It's beautiful. That's Roddenberry just wrote those episodes for us like the Bible. He wrote the Bible in those episodes. He absolutely did. He wrote allegorical stories of the Bible in those episodes. They're eternal gifts.
It's amazing. What is it about, Charlie? And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of the members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her the writing of divorcement. But I say unto you, that whoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. Is that the same lines?
Well,
Yeah.
the right the right eye and right hand are controlled by the left brain, so that
Same.
would be alluding to that. But I'm not sure about the divorce part.
No, it's just the allegory. It's just the separation. It's just talking about this separation. So essentially, all and then everybody gets hung up on those lines,
Totally.
and everybody, and then it's a legalese argument about what that literally means, and it has nothing to do with a marriage and how this should all play out and what the consequences are to it and any of that. No, if you stay righteous and pure, you will not have problem. But if you operate of the right hand and the right eye, then you're in the left brain and you've got problems, because that is the diseased world. You are in the diseased world. So you have to be on the right side of things. Right side of things. Yeah, absolutely. So great job, Justin. Just shows that you're getting this powerfully. You need, and all we see what Justin just did is the Hermetic principle, as above, so below, and he remembered it in that moment and he applied it in that moment. It is the law of laws, as above, so below, as within, so without, as with the universe, so with the soul. It's the law of laws.
Great. And then it goes on from there. Again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Neither shalt thou swear by the head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black, but let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. So I see that as just kind of, let your words be firm. It's no legalese, no obfuscation, not trying to have all these complicated things put into them. Let your words be your words. And so I see that as a little bit more literal, and maybe there's a deeper meaning to it. But just let we are nothing in this in this reality without our word. Our word is everything. So if we're not solid with our word, if we have to add on to our word with swearing and oaths, then that means that you were lying before. Is that what that means? Like if you have to swear and promise, like, so you're lying all the other times, like, no, just let it be.
Yeah.
Say what you mean.
Yeah. Well, your word is in a handshake, right? I mean, essentially what is being said there is that don't complicate things or set yourself up for failure with fancy words or oaths sworn in the head, in heaven, to God. No, not even then. What it's saying in there, read it carefully, and what is being said is that right is right, yea is yea, and nay is nay. There's right and wrong. Just do the yea and not the nay. Be a yea sayer, not a naysayer. So that's all this is to stop talking about it and do it. There's only two things that you're going to do. You're going to be on the right side of this in any moment, or you're going to be on the wrong side of this in any moment. Don't make an oath, just do it to be on the right side. And as Jesus teaches, what I teach is how to be on the right side in everything. Be righteous. That's all. Be righteous. And what is righteous? Just have care and compassion for everybody else. So righteousness is 11. Care and compassion is the mother, which is 22. And then you become 11 plus 22, which is 33, the child. So righteousness is connected to caring and compassion. 11 plus 22 is 33. And then you are at the pinnacle of Jacob's ladder. You are the 33 steps of this degree, and you've received permission to go to a higher institution of learning. This is college. This is university is here. but you have to first get up to 33 degrees by being righteous. If you're not righteous, you're not going to get, and you're not going to complete this level of education and cross over into the higher education. This is higher education. It's not out there. It's not in a university. They freaking lie. It's not a college. They lie. Look at what Lynn Wood is showing you. So much of what's happening with Lynn Wood right now is an allegory, right? This is their movie. They've already won. This is the movie playing out in the story. And what's Lynn Wood showing you? That his own alma mater that accepted money from him and then was going to build a whole new wing of their college and name it after Lynn Wood is now telling him to get lost, and they're not going to do those things. They're not going to give his money back either. But get away, you are disgraced after being the light of the world. But because you're not our light, so now you're disgraced, get lost. So what is he showing you? It's an allegory that colleges are not the way. It's not the way. When all of this is over, don't you dare send your kids back to school. Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare do it. This is a gift. We need to take this gift. The gift is the mother. This is it. She's everything. Give, trust in the mother, and she will show the way. She will lead you to the truth.
Beautiful. Yeah. So just in the interest of time, I think we'll save the last two sections of chapter 5 because I think there'll be some big conversations there within that for next week. But I wanted to give Charlie, you said you had a story to tell and any chance for closing comments so we can start wrapping up.
So really quickly, I was talking to you about the boat, and I love that little boat, and it's very small, so I would just go out by myself. So there was a day, and it's kind of weird, but it makes sense now. But there was a day where I was sort of thinking I was going to go out in the morning, and I didn't. And the day began to develop, and it came into the afternoon, and a wind really kicked up. And although it wasn't dark or stormy, it was really windy. And I don't know why, but I felt I had to. And I didn't tell my mom who was home because she would never have let me. So I quietly took my boat, which I always kept on top of my little vehicle. And by the way, that's another thing. My mom and dad let me drive without a license long before I was 16. So love you. And so I launched and I went out, and it was a completely stupid thing to do if I was thinking. It was an illogical, stupid thing to do. And sure enough, soon enough, I got myself into trouble. So much trouble that with my little boat, I couldn't turn around. So I was headed in the direction of the United States. So where we live, we're just looking straight across the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and we're very close to the corner of Juan de Fuca and then Georgia on the way to Vancouver. So right about in there, I was headed in the direction of the United States across the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and the waves were now so big I could not safely turn around. And of course, you have an outboard motor and you have a little gas tank that's in there, so you only have so much fuel. And the storm only seemed to be getting more and more. And so I was frightened. And then a real calmness came over me. And I knew what I needed to do. And that was to take my fishing rods out and to put the heaviest weights that I had on them and to let it all go. And to don't worry if they get caught on the bottom and they get ripped off and I lose those weights or whatever. I needed to create ballast. I needed to create balance, or I was never going to be able to turn around. So I let it all go. I carefully put on the heaviest weights, and I let out on both sides, left and right, and I let down all the line I had till it stopped going out. And then slowly, and I mean slowly, I managed to turn this thing around. And then of course, now it's all just pushing me back into shore, back into shore. And over the years, I never really fully divined why I did that, or did I do anything, or was I meant to do this? And if I, like, and I can just see it so perfectly now. I needed that moment. I was told to do that. And so you can look at that and go, it's crazy, right? It's a very crazy thing to do, but no, it's not. No, it's not. It's trusting in that inner voice. I knew that I don't know why, but I knew I had to go out and do this. I needed to have that experience. And in that moment, the only thing I could do was clear my mind. And when I cleared my mind, the solution presented itself, and the miracle occurred, and I was able to turn it around. And then, relatively quickly enough, I came back to the shore. And just looking back on it, it had to happen. It needed to happen. And that's life. Let it happen. If you live in fear, if you say that that's crazy, or this cannot possibly work out in my advantage, you're thinking, and you don't know. You're thinking from the valley floor. You have no perspective. None of us do. We're thinking from the valley floor. We can't even see what's above the property wall or what's beyond those mountains across from us. So the only way to have perspective is to trust in the one who is upon high in every single moment, and let that perspective rain down upon us. And that's purple rain. And that's what we have to do. And I wanted to share that story with you because on the surface, it was a foolish thing to do, but it wasn't. I realize that now. It wasn't. It was trusting that I had to do what I needed to do. And I listened to what was clearly inside of me, and I was not harmed in any way. And in fact, it made me made me part, obviously, of who I am today.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. What a great story. Yeah, I mean, if we just get out of, if we just listen, I mean, just listen and be led, we'll always be led to that spot. No matter what, no matter how deep the storm is, no matter how intense it is, we'll always be led. Yeah, powerful.
I think it's also powerful just to show that sometimes things that are difficult or scary have to happen, and that's a part of where we're at right now. Like, they have to happen, and we don't necessarily get to make up the God's script on all of this. We get to play our part as perfectly as we can, and part of that is accepting the hard times and listening for the guidance, and knowing that our real get out of jail free card is casting the net and doing the work and breathing and lifting the frequency and aligning to Christ consciousness. That's I think you said that in something recently, Charlie, and I love that. I want to do a meme on that at some point. It was like, the whole point of life is Christ consciousness. Like, that's the whole point of life. Like, there's nothing else happening here. So whether it's in a boat or in a car or in your bedroom or wherever we are, we're going to attract. Sometimes I think a lot of like the new age community is like, oh, well, you attracted that situation. It's like, and somehow that's bad. No, it's part of our growth. It's part of our purification. So we need to welcome those times when we are getting fried, and tempted by the devil, and trust that the angels are coming.
Yeah, exactly. And C.S. Lewis said an amazing thing. And what Lewis said is that we look at our life in terms of sort of rising and falling, victories and defeats. But he said, if you had a bit more perspective, what you would see is that all of your defeats were merely the approach up the rampway to heaven. And that every time there was never any defeat that you suffered. It was only just this pathway where you go down and gain momentum to go up the ramp to heaven. That made perfect sense to me. It made perfect sense. And it says, we're always ready to judge the situation. We have no patience. Patience is a virtue. That's what God is saying. And again, people are asking me so much to speak on this and speak on that. Tell us what's happening on it. I don't know their plan. I've told you the ending, and it's going to be amazing. And to that, I absolutely hold. I know it. I know it with every breath that is within me. I know what this world moving forward is going to be like, and you're going to be pleased with everything that's coming. I know this, and I guarantee it to all of you. But how it's going to play out, I don't know. I told everyone that 119 was a big day, just like I said 113 was going to be a big day. And then what happened on 113, January 13, there was all of these powerful people, especially within the church, that died of the COVID. Reverse 113, and that's 311, when these demons said that the COVID was a global pandemic. And it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect that their epitaph is written that they died of the COVID on the reverse of 311, which is 113. And I told you that something big had to happen on 119, massive, because that's 9/11. And they have to have their 9/11 for doing what they did to us. And so this is where we're at. The military on 119 released, they arrested a whole bunch of people formally, and then they released, this is the military, because they're in charge, and the military released all of these arrests and the details of the arrest of everyone, that included the fake Biden and everybody else, and nobody printed it. None of them. Not any mainstream media in America and the world, but in America, printed what they gave out. And so, see, by the military doing it, because we are under this Insurrection Act, these news agencies are obligated. It is an obligation of these news agencies to share this with the public, and none of them did. It's a crime. It's a federal crime. They all fell trap to it by not releasing this on 119. So guess who had the biggest 9/11 on 119? The media. Remember what I've been sharing with you, that they have to die, they have to go down. How are they going to go down? They're complicit in the election fraud and stuff. But then this, you have to let this go to the military, because when the military is in charge, there are hard and fast rules to this game. Hard and fast rules. And when they disobey those hard and fast rules, then they are subject to the consequences of the military. And, remember, I was sharing you with all of these executive orders that Trump did in giving the ability to create these PEADs, the PEADs, the public trials that are held by the military. Judgment has been passed upon these demons. What's happening this Sunday? What happened in France last week with the Macron government in France? Did they do something to the Americans during the election? Has it been proven? Are they a foreign adversary that attempted to overthrow America? Are they legally, is there a legal precedent for the US military to then take over Macron's government in France? Is then the French media now forced, just as the American media that will not obey, is the French media now forced to release these public releases by the military to the people? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. What's happening this Sunday? It's the Super Bowl. Which Super Bowl is this? It's the 55th Super Bowl. And what's interesting is that that's to these Romans, that this is LV, right? Super Bowl LV 55. But have you guys seen how many times it's been showed LIV, a little I in between the L and the V, a little I? It's live. And that is the divine I in between the L and the V, which is the right light, which is divinity, which is God, and this God intervention. So what I would do is be vigilant, my friends, and prepare yourself for an enormity of things, because the resurrection is very, very real, and we shall be healed, and we'll be healed through Jesus Christ rising up to the right-hand side of the Father, and that's coming in March. And so if you're not on the right side of things by April 1st, you're going to be a fool. you will be a fool if you're on the wrong side of these things. But this great reveal that is coming about these demons has to start, and has to start soon. And so February is going to be hell on earth when all this truth comes out. And does it have to come from a foreign press? What would that tell the average American if you have to hear the truth about America coming out of France? What would that tell you about your American media if you had to hear the truth coming out of French media? What would that tell you? So there's a plan. It is God's plan. And everything that these demons have done, they've written their own epitaph. So that's what I told you. Trust the plan, because the rewards are divine and they're just. They will have their just rewards for what they've done. So be ready. Be ready, okay? And this is, so many people have said to me, and I can't wait to just tell them, I told you so. No, you don't get that moment. As hard, as unfair as that seems, you don't get that moment. You have to hold them. You have to hold them while their whole world collapses, while they called you a kook, a nut, when they left your brilliant yoga family because you had the audacity to side with a nut job like Donald Trump, who was interested in saving children. And yeah, you have to hold them now. You don't get to call them, you don't get to point your finger in their face and go, yeah, yeah. No, you don't. So be vigilant.
Thank you for that reminder. I was ready to delete people today and block everybody. I'm sorry. I was like, there's a part of me still, but thank you for that. No, we're here. We're here. We love everybody. I mean, we've all been subject to this, and we're all waking up at different times. So wow, Charlie, I love being with you.
Yeah, me too. That's why we answered the call. I mean, we answered the call to get here, to be here right now, to be ready for that moment, to be the healers, to be the representations of life, that light, to be those beacons, those life breaths for people to reach out and grab hold of.
Do you think they will? I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing about what's going to happen, like with the people and how they're. But like, there's a part of me that's still going to. Like I said something recently, just real quick to someone I care about. I go, this is the censoring. Like, aren't you worried about the censoring? This is China. This is not how the U.S. operates. Like, you can't say, people say I'm crazy for saying what I'm saying. They're shutting it down. That's, and she was still like, well, yeah, but they're spreading hate. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So here we are again. I have faith. I really do, guys. There's still a part of me that's like, well, we'll see. I'm just going to see it when it's there. And I'm going to be so happy to give hugs, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not going to be all at once. That it's going to be a choice in every single moment, and it'll be a sort of cascading one after the other. But it's going to get to the point where whatever limit is required for each individual, they'll see the amount of evidence, they'll see the amount of this unfold to where it is completely inarguable. There's no debating it any longer. So we just have to be there to catch them whenever they're ready.
Yay! Ooh, I love that. Hold on, let's take a picture of that. I'm gonna do a screenshot. Hold on. That's so good. That is so good.
And then Q said the 5-5.
Nice.
The 5-5 all the time, so it makes sense. It's 55.
And you got, did I pull it at the wrong moment? Sorry.
I got it.
So, and remember the Batman movie? Batman 3, remember Batman Begins is basically showing you what happened to John Kennedy and what Junior had to do. He had to cast away whoever that kid was, and that's the kid by the side of the road. He had no other choice in the matter. The little kid within him was not allowed to have the life that he was meant to have. So he had to take a different pathway. And so that's the kid by the side of the road that got left behind when those demons did what they did in Dallas. And So Batman Begins shows you JFK Jr. going into the East, and what is my greatest fear? What is my greatest fear? It's time my enemy shared my greatest fear. You have to master your fears. He is the master of disguise because he has mastered his fears. He is the master of war, the art of war, because he knows thyself, therefore he knows thy enemy better than they know themselves. This is the journey of this man. He had to deal with the jokers in the second phase, and then in the third phase, he had to let everything collapse. And what did they do at the beginning of Batman 3? The big football game in the stadium, and the whole stadium blew up, and all those false agents of the system fell down into the pit of hell. There's so much symbology in that. So there's certainly something coming in Tampa, and I believe, I apologize if I'm not correct on this because I don't follow any of it, but I believe that the Super Bowl is being held in Tampa, Florida, and that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one of the teams that are in it. Well, a Buccaneer is a pirate. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the pirates of the seas, of the high seas. Yeah. Super Bowl 55.
Wow.
Wow, what a time.
We're so blessed.
Seriously. Yeah. All right. Marie, did you have any closing comments? Or Charlie, did you have anything else you want to touch on before we end today? I know you need some daylight to get your work done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Love you both so much. This has been wonderful. This has been an incredible show. A lot has been done. And everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being here. We love you so much. I see the love and support you're providing to each other in the chat, and it's truly beautiful. You guys are amazing. You guys are those lights. So just keep shining as brightly as you can. We're gonna need it. So yeah, with that, next week, I believe, Marie, we're gonna have it on your channel next week, right?
Sure, I love that.
Yeah. So we'll kind of swap off each time. So it'll be Marie's channel next week, same time, same day. We're going to be starting with the end of chapter 5, going into chapter 6, and then we'll keep going from there. But chapter 6 is going to be a doozy. We're going to spend a lot of time on there because there's so much good stuff there. And then chapter 7 is really fantastic as well. So just keep reading through Matthew if you haven't already. This is a hands-on class. We want you guys to be reading this. We want you guys to be absorbing it yourselves. It's not just us telling you. You don't want to have gatekeepers, even us. You don't want to have gatekeepers into the wisdom and gnosis. You need to be the one who discovers yourself. So just remember that. But yeah, with that, we love y'all so much, and we'll do it again.
Really quickly, I'm so pumped for our show Sunday night on Justin's channel, because we have 5 more incredible songs. I honestly just can't wait to go through them. There's such great songs, so that's going to be amazing. That's 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's this Sunday night on Justin's channel, Wandering Toward Truth, which is where you are right now. And also, we're going to involve the brilliant, wonderful Galactic Greg, and get Greg involved. And then another ongoing series that we're going to do with Greg and obviously Justin and Marie is going to be telling the truth about history. And
yes, that's the one. I
yeah.
want that one so much. I studied history in college. But yeah, I love it. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, be careful what you ask for, because when we start to decode history, it's going to make you very angry, very angry, because you've been lied to powerfully.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it.
We love you guys.
All right. Yeah. Love y'all so much, and we'll talk to you next time.